If these times endure, I shall become a hermit, for I see nothing here but grief and torment. Evils reign, good folk are held in scorn, and the wicked seize the seats of government. Eustache Deschamps. According to the legend, the sage Lao Tzu walked away from society after he wrote down the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text of Taoism. Some believe he wanted to live a simpler life and be closer to nature. Others say that Lao Tzu was tired of society's moral decline and the power struggles he witnessed, so he intended to withdraw. Even though Lao Tzu's life is cloaked in myth, these sentiments ascribed to him are all too human. Many people went before him and many after him, leaving society behind and spending their lives in seclusion. Throughout time, this peculiar desire of a small group of people to seclude themselves has persisted. To this day, some still long for profound solitude, which a hermit's life can offer. Some still contemplate leaving behind a noisy society that, in their eyes, has nothing to offer worthy of lingering. What moved people in the past and present to become hermits? What does a life of seclusion offer? And is the hermit life possible today? Let's explore the philosophy of the hermit. But before you leave society and become a recluse, consider supporting this channel by joining my Patreon page so you get access to ad-free videos and free merch and vote for topics from the comforts of your cave in the mountains. Thank you, and I hope you'll enjoy this video. It's difficult to pinpoint the first hermits in human history, as we cannot be really sure when people started to seclude themselves. The ascetics of ancient India from the Vedic tradition go way back, most likely thousands of years. The Upanishads contain references to people who renounced society and sought spiritual practice in the forest, free from distractions. From the Christian tradition, we have the desert fathers and mothers, such as Saint Paul of Thebes and Emma Synclitica of Alexandria. In China, there's still an active hermit culture, especially in the Zhongnan Mountains, where many hermits reside today. Also, there have been philosophers who admired hermits and adopted a semi-hermit lifestyle, such as Henry David Thoreau and Thomas Merton. All in all, we must conclude that hermit life has persisted throughout the ages, all around the world, and still exists today. So, why do people become hermits? What drives them to leave society and spend their lives in solitude? To answer this question, I'm indebted to two primary sources: Peter Francis' comprehensive book, Hermits, The Insights of Solitude, and a podcast episode by an impressive philosophy channel named Hermitics, link below. In the latter, expert and author Robert Rodriguez shares his knowledge, which was very helpful. For many hermits, pursuing spirituality has been one of the main reasons. For example, Taoist hermits sought to get closer to the Tao. But there's another motivation that drives people to become hermits. Take the Desert Fathers, for example. They witnessed the merging of the church and imperial power, which they considered detrimental to Christian values and their ability to practice their faith. Their decision to seclude themselves wasn't just an appeal to a more spiritual life. They also wanted to escape the increasing corruption of faith and society. Doing so aligned them with Lao Tzu, who also felt dissatisfaction with court life. So they turned their backs on the world and went off alone, exposing themselves to the harsh conditions of the desert. It's not just seclusion, but also renunciation of society that characterizes hermits. As Rodriguez mentions, they realize they cannot change the world, but they can distance themselves from it. Whether it's corruption, wicked people in the government, moral decay, or today's self-exploiting achievement society, they're done with it. It has nothing more to offer them. The juice simply isn't worth the squeeze. Just look at the world today. Tensions between powerful nations, deepening polarization, rampant greed, and a small group of ultra-rich individuals holding most of the power. Have you had thoughts lately, such as, I don't want to be part of this anymore, or I wish I could just walk away from all this? Well, you're not alone. The renunciation of society is a universal phenomenon. The hermits have been doing it for ages. Based on their accounts, many hermits find their lives improving in solitude. Moreover, people consulted them for advice as long as they've been around. So, people sought guidance for living within society from those who turned their backs on it. That's ironic, isn't it? Apparently, people see something of value in the hermit's existence. So, what makes the hermit's life valuable? What do hermits find in solitude? Let's explore this. What's so enticing about seclusion? Aren't we social beings that need interaction with others? Or could seclusion be a good thing? What's to find in profound solitude? Are there any benefits to a lack of human connection? Plenty of accounts tell of the joys and benefits of secluding oneself. Take, for example, the story of Christopher Knight, who disappeared in the woods and lived there for decades. The book A Stranger in the Woods gives an insight into his life. In solitude, Christopher found liberation from the noise of society and a rare form of inner peace. He also speaks of an almost symbiotic relationship with nature, a joyful experience described by Thoreau and something the Taoist hermits also seek. Escape from society's noise and closeness to nature are advantages commonly experienced by hermits. Such conditions allow for a profound spiritual life and, in some cases, intellectual pursuit. Although Schopenhauer wasn't a hermit, he avoided the crowds, allowing him to study and deepen his philosophy. Nietzsche used solitude to develop his philosophy, emphasizing it as a means for the Übermensch to rise above the herd. Rodriguez makes an interesting point and argument for the hermit life, the truth of impermanence. Let's, for example, consider today's consumerist society and what it pursues. It's all about chasing status, money, nice cars and houses, and other material stuff. People also seek friends and relationships. They want to belong and fit in. They keep up with the latest fashion and trends. They follow the news, which bombards them with doom and gloom 24/7. I've been reading a book by Rolf Dobelli called Stop Reading the News, which shows that most news is redundant information designed to catch our attention and generate profit, and generally makes us feel anxious, angry, and unsafe. As the wisest of humanity justly observed, everything is temporary. The outside world is in constant flux. It all comes and goes. Yet, we constantly grasp and attach ourselves to the impermanent, causing all kinds of unpleasant emotions and depleting our energy. The hermit sees through this scheme. Therefore, he disentangles himself from these things. All these worldly concerns will not make him happy. On the contrary, they stand in the way of his happiness and well-being. The worldly winds don't ravage the hermit's domain, which makes it a haven of tranquility. From that haven, the hermits view society from the outside. It shows defects, usually invisible from within. It shows the vanity of the herd's chasings and puts worldly concerns in a different light. Is the hermit's unique perspective perhaps why people consult them for advice? Now that we have reflected upon the good of seclusion, such as inner peace, getting closer to nature, the absence of societal noise, and detachment from the mundane, let's put the hermit's philosophy in a modern context. What's it like to be a hermit today? Is there something like a modern hermit? Can we adopt certain aspects from the hermit's lives to benefit our own? Over the centuries, humanity has built large, complex societies, interwoven in an increasingly globalizing world. We have never been so connected, and we've also never been exposed to so much information about practically anything and beyond. Although marginalized, the hermit has stood the test of time, and people who wish to seclude themselves still exist, perhaps even more than before. Today, the act of secluding oneself is generally seen as bad. From personal experience, I've noticed that when you isolate yourself from people, they assume something is wrong with you. The phenomenon of the hikikomori in Japan, rejecting society, mental issues aside, is widely considered a problem. As the conversation with Rodriguez clarifies, today's world generally offers little respect or support for hermits. It's also challenging to emulate the classical hermit lifestyle in practical sense. In most places, you need some legal ties, like an idea, taxes, or property. These things typically require having a bank account and a phone. While some degree of self-sufficiency is still possible, being truly off-grid and independent has become increasingly difficult. But current society also offers opportunities. Increasing technological advancements and individualism allow for a different kind of eremitism, a somewhat paradoxical one. Consider the urban hermit or city hermit. You'll get different descriptions of this curious fellow when you search for urban hermit on Google. I stumbled upon an old Chinese proverb. The mediocre hermit resides in the forest. The great hermit lives in the city. This suggests it's not only possible, but perhaps more admirable to preserve solitude in a bustling urban environment. So, how does the modern city hermit live? By seeking seclusion amidst the crowd, alone in an apartment or house, with minimal human contact. Again, this sounds paradoxical, but in today's world, it actually makes sense. City life used to involve lots of social interactions. People had to go to work physically, and if they wanted to buy something, they had to visit these places called shops. Stuff like bank transactions or booking a trip happened in person. Human contact was almost unavoidable. But times have changed. In many places, you can survive without ever leaving your house. An internet connection lets you shop, make money, handle banking, file taxes, etc. As part of the urban matrix, the city hermit isn't self-sufficient like a Taoist hermit with his mountain shack and vegetable garden. However, the system allows him to live with minimal human contact and, let's face it, the convenience of the city. But for some, staying in a city or society they despise is unbearable, even as a hermit. They may be better off leaving, ideally to a distant culture. Being in a different culture creates distance from home. Tensions and politics from your native country may be pretty irrelevant in another. In Indonesia, for example, the whole left-right nonsense is barely a thing, and few care about foreign politics. It's a relief, and you don't have to be a recluse to benefit. I would even say that a digital nomad can adopt a hermit-like lifestyle. Again, I'm being self-referential here, but I've spent significant time abroad while working. I traveled slowly and only stayed in urban areas. In my experience, metropolises like Tokyo or Jakarta offer near invisibility. Because there are so many people, you can easily disappear into the crowd. But what I believe nomad life uniquely adds to the semi-hermit experience is non-attachment to one's surroundings. I was just a visitor. Culturally and linguistically, there was a distance between myself and my environment. This strangeness was already a form of seclusion, the invisible walls of unfamiliarity. Combined with the anonymity of the city, my urban hermit's existence was round, and it was pretty adventurous too. So today's world offers plenty of possibilities for those who thrive in solitude and seek disengagement from society. But before plunging into the secluded life, take caution. It's not for everyone. And it's especially not for those full of resentment, unable to let go of worldly affairs, which may turn solitude into a personal hell. Consider this saying from an unknown hermit from the stories of the Desert Fathers. It is better to live among the crowd and keep a solitary life in your spirit than to live alone with your heart in the crowd. Thanks for watching.
I'm more than happy to take a peek at the title if you're willing to give it to me.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, but that's my thing. I'm not trying to give up
my
information.
fault. I just thought you said you were willing to show.
Right. It's important to get every single person and piece of property registered and identified with a state of and a corporate entity. You just gotta do it. It's gotta happen.
Questions like why I do what I do, why I am the person I am, and how you can't see that by coming up to a man and trying to identify him. Like a piece of plastic doesn't identify me. That's not me. I am me.
Why do we all pretend like it's better to exchange little plastic pieces to pretend that that means anything about who I am, that am is, or what I am, that am, or what it's connected to? Better yet, right? So that is the greatest resource and source of order and co-creation. The little plastic pieces don't do it any justice.
This is like my personal journey.
Dude, it's crazy because if you would have just given me your name,
If you guys would adjust, right? This is your logic. This is the logic of a tyrant, right? This is the logic of a horrible parent. This is the logic of an authoritarian everywhere. If you would have just did everything that we told you and asked you, we wouldn't try to make your life harder and do loss, injury, and harm to you. That is the rallying cry of tyrants everywhere from the beginning of time. Go fuck yourself. You don't get to tell us what we're going to do and be in life. All you teachers, all you parents, all you authoritarians, all you false prophets, you don't get to tell us what we're going to do and be in life at the expense of rolling up your sleeves and doing harm, like the Tao says. You know, all you subjective moralists, all you solipsists, who you and your dogma is the only thing in creation that actually exists that you can confirm.
But say, if I would have just complied, if I would have just done what she wanted, maybe that'd be better for me. Nah, if you would just maybe listen to what I'm saying, maybe it'd be better for you. Maybe, just maybe you're making a mistake. Maybe you shouldn't be doing this to people. Maybe you're like security guard for someone you don't even know. You're a security force for an invisible entity. You're working for, you don't know, you might be working for the devil.
Stop telling other motherfuckers who may be born and may be meant to be here at this time to influence all of us to do better and be better and have better, to just stop and just shut up and just go away. You're ahead of the game. No, fuck that. It's called free expression. It's called getting really real with ourselves and each other. It's called gambling, cosmic gambling on the truth and on faith. You didn't just hear him? You didn't just hear him? He said he's waiting for the day, just like I am, when they actually can show me that they can hurt me.
Just so you know, you should be cooperative in that way. Does that make sense?
But see, we can disagree.
That you have
to submit, comply, and obey. I don't have a responsibility to submit and comply and obey to you guys. I don't. I have an authority to God, and I have an authority to my spirit. Like, so you guys, it doesn't matter what you guys do. Like I said, you guys could take me to jail. I only get better and level up from this stuff. You guys have never hurt me yet. I'm waiting to see when you guys can hurt me. When you guys take me to jail, when you guys try to do something to hurt me, it never works. You guys never teach me a lesson. You guys are never going to come up to my car and say, and then later on be like, okay, I'm going to give you the ID this time because I went to jail that time. I'm telling you guys, man, and this ain't just about me and my dirty ass in this car. I'm speaking a truth that's beyond me in this fucking car and my goofy presentation.
All right. So, Mr. No Name, we're going to go with it. I want you to know what we legally are allowed to do, and then I want to proceed with what we're going to. And today we're going to serve you by just calling it good as is and leave it alone and hope we don't have any later run-ins. How's that sound?
You guys do... all three of you, like your energy, like I deal with officers in situations like this, and our people do too. Like I mess with your energy. Like even though you guys, we might not be connected, like you guys could do things to me. Like even the language, like we could like cause loss, injury, or harm to you, but we're just not going to. That's how it is to me and my people.
It's us enforcing the laws thereof. Yes.
Right, but we as human beings to one another, yeah. Like we all come from families, we're all brothers and sisters. Right. That's the kind of how I looked at it. Like we don't even get along with our own families a lot. So we're at the dinner table and we're having a discussion about something. That's how I look at it. And you guys are saying we can legally do this, we can legally do that, but we got to get back to the spirit of our gut instincts. It doesn't matter what's on all these papers.
The legend, world famous Brian O'Shea. I'm not even going to address one of the creatures in chat who represents at least 10 to 20% of this audience for the past 3 years. They know who and what they are. Just continue with your denial and delusion, your projections. I'm moving forward as I need to for me, as I do most places in life. You got to be selfish to get selfless. I'm not interested where you believe all the viewers went to and who took them. Have a party. Enjoy whatever you want it to be. Right? Ultimately, beyond all this crap, because we could get down to it like I've spoken about it, just to be real with myself and others like I advocate here. We've gotten into interactions where folks have projected onto me, and I've allowed myself to speak about the idea that I have more of everything in my life than the majority of these folks on these panels or who host these panels. So I didn't make it a competition. They did, because they want to be delusional and in denial and lacking discernment. Now, in every apprehension and discussion, then, one is forced back to reflection and introspection at some point, because tends to be all criticism is self-criticism on some level. So I went ahead and was clear with this audience, good, bad, or indifferent, that I've had health issues and dis-ease, mostly because I'm not eating and exercising the way I know I need to, and I've known that for a while. So things have popped up. It's caused radical changes in my life, a 32-day fast, whatever it was, which probably made the problem worse now that I realized what it was, because I thought it was something else, and I think I got a handle on it now. So ultimately, I've decided to kind of ratchet back the non-tent here, to not go certain places as much, to not interact with certain types of people. You all are free to do whatever you wish and believe whatever it is that you wish to believe, right? So I'm here to do fellowship. I'm here to do co-creation. I'm here to fulfill my obligations and responsibilities until I'm not, right? So ultimately, I'm not Mr. Slackcott. I'm not Taylor. I'm not Mr. Mazzio. I'm not Mr. Agni, Nacho Quifa Agni. I'm none of these folks. I'm me. I am that am. Moving forward, as the universe reveals to me, I need to, by my own firsthand experience, and I came into this doing that. I will continue this life doing that. Broadcasting aside, I'm not interested. I can't be interested in what the rest of these folks on here think and feel and project and reject and all the rest of it. I wish them well. I'm sure fulfillment, actualization, realization, success is right around the corner. Then you have to ask yourself the next question. Well, you got everything you think you want. What do you do now? See, you got to go up the ladder and then come back down, or you don't have to go at all. So with that said, viewers aside, there's a pimper and macker, Paulie boy. There's a more humble, with humility, actualized and realized, detached from whatever the people, places, and things and outcome in order to make a decision aspect of Paulie boy. Much as we all like recognition, much as we all like attention to some degree, hopefully, faithfully, it's for the right things or some things that are redeemable. Ultimately, I'm self-aware and aware of others enough to know that I got to be me and live how I need to live. And if me screaming and yelling and cursing and calling people out and doing accountability and responsibility, forcing those sessions and doing a little bit of pimping and macking is the only way that I can get, keep, or have an audience, at the risk of potentially my health at times, because it all works together, right? I'm not denying by any means a mind-body connection. So when you go 7 days a week like I do, 1,000 days straight, and you're passionate, on fire, some might say, either to just do a good broadcast, to be entertaining, to force accountability, to call us all out, it can wear on you, right? So then you got to refocus. You got to shift gears and refocus for self. And that's what I've been doing. So just keep living in denial and delusion, keep hating, because guess what? We know the truth. Those of us who've been here for years, we know that if you take away all the gimmicks and all the nonsense and the delusion and the suck off sessions, most of these folks don't have anything going. And that's okay. That's just my perspective, right? So you can talk about what I've had that I've lost. At least I got to it at some point, being who and what I am authentically, rather than faking the funk and playing power games and using other people and all the rest of it in order to supposedly achieve something that's a nothing at the end of the day, right? Because what is a man and who is a man if at the end of the day he doesn't have his head and heart straight and his health, right, beyond the wealth, and different forms of talent and ability, which is what they've told me, the ubiquitous they. So I just think that this is very simple. A lot of these dynamics, there's a lot of folks on here who know subconsciously or consciously they don't really have much to offer in a broadcasting venue. They may not have much to offer in a community venue. So they might be in some trouble. I'll raise my hand, but not in the sense of don't have anything to offer. I've learned that about me in certain ways. What could I offer me, though, is the question, right? We're back to the idea of self-care, self-love, discernment, right? Self-awareness, and making the next right decision for oneself. So whether this is dietary, whether this is rest, exercise, whether this is not getting as loud as I'd like to because I'm passionate and care, and realize there's a different modality I can work through to communicate that doesn't have as much of a deleterious effect on my body politic, but still be able to focus on certain things that either inspire me, entertain me, challenge me, and the same for others. So let's just be real. The one in the chat who I banned, who will not be mentioned, there's a lot of folks on here who, and the term applies. And I'll pull up the video of the monk if you'd like, because I know when I say this kind of stuff this way, it gets people triggered. And I could say it in a different way to produce an imagery of myself that would make me more palatable or more respectable to certain types of people, maybe to myself even as well. But it's just not who and what I am, or it's just not what I'm bringing to this medium. Okay, so I'll bring up the monk, who everyone says they love him. He speaks real quiet all the time. He's nice, kind, and polite, but he's real. And he will tell you about a loser failure. And again, I can tell you about a loser failure mostly because I've been one most of my life. So that's the part that everyone forgets. That's the part that folks want to leave out of the discussion. That's the part that folks put around back so then they could say, Paul, he's mean, he's bullying, he's narcissistic, he thinks he's better than everyone. No. I think that I'm on a path to discovering and doing and being and having better for me. That's called life. And I'm pretty sure we're all doing the same thing if we let it be. Or we're all playing the victim, living in delusion and denial, projecting and rejecting, living in ignorance with an arrogant flair if we let it be. See, because I'm not separate from this dynamic, I can speak on this dynamic and I can damn sure see it and spot it a mile away when I see it creeping up around me. So, if you're going to hate, just hate, do it from afar. I'm not interested in it. I'm going to throw you out of here if you're going to do it in the chat. It's pathetic and embarrassing at this point. There's more that every individual can do for themselves and with each other. And instead of focusing on that or realizing I'm attempting to do that, you rather continue to play these power games. But guess what? At the end of the day, you're in a chat box. You're scared to get on panel. You're unactualized and unrealized. We see you and pictures of you on social media. Now everyone's accessible nowadays. So we can look at you and make a certain determination about what you know or don't know about yourself and life and how you're living. Right. And that's called judgment or discernment. You can act like it's mean and unkind, but it exists. People do it every day. Right. In my personal life, I try to do it little to not at all. But when I come on here, it's just, gates wide open. In my regular life, I try to quiet my mind to go, or even my feelers or my energies, my inspirations. Anything that kind of comes up, I go, put that aside because I don't need to make a determination about every person and place and thing that comes through my field of vision. Don't need to do that, right? It makes my inner space less peaceful. But on here, it's floodgates open. So I see you, I feel you, I get a discernment of you, I speak on it. If it's my projection, we get to the bottom of it. If not, someone out there gets inspired. Might be this guy, the guy talking, gets inspired. You know how many times lately? See, now the last week, I'm down to just not watching and listening at all. I cut all these people out of my life. Not watching, not listening. Watching and listening to other things while exercising. and preparing for a different stage of my life because we're going to be moving to the forest. So I'm kind of excited about that. So we're going to come back full circle like how I come into this. When I come into this, I didn't watch or listen to anybody. I wasn't involved in anything. These people all sucked me in and pulled me in to their power panel games and the parasitic using and abusing and projections and rejections and just complete loser failure-dom. I opened a door to it and allowed it in. Now I'm kind of done with it, right? Ever since I've started to feel disease and have certain issues and realize I'm probably toxic because I let myself be, and I'm therefore surrounded by a bunch of toxic motherfuckers in different ways because I let it be. So I'm done with that. Like, I don't want to be toxic anymore to myself and others. I don't want to live toxic, right? And I don't want to entertain toxic, parasitic, using and abusing people who don't do or be or have anything in life, and then want to talk about discerning and judging others while saying don't discern and judge me. The hypocrisy's kind of done and over with me to a certain degree. I don't know if you can ever purge it completely. It's like a hallmark of the human experience, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Right. So I go, I have some talent and ability. I have a core audience. I have contributions and support. I have opportunities. I can do whatever I want. I have almost pure freedom at this point. And now I'm like coming to the point of, well, what do I want to do with it? Right. That's something that the majority of non-content creators on here don't have, and they're not going to touch because of the way that they live, or don't, rather. So you're not, nobody is going to like poison that well. This is my proviso statement for you and others. Get a clue, get a hint. You're no longer invited to the party. I don't want you with me. I don't care if I cut my numbers down to like 3/4 gone or less. Doesn't matter to me. If I have to be toxic or entertain toxic people in order to keep an audience beyond a certain point, it's not worth it for me. It's not worth my health. It's not worth my wealth. It's not worth my inner space. It's not worth the future for me and those around me, right? Especially with all the things I have an opportunity to do. So this has become more and more like a place to vent. This has become more and more a place to like express fully or not, right? And then just fulfill my function. It's become sort of a non-occupation for me, right? So let that be known. Go share that around the metaverse. I'm sure folks have already gotten that hint and that point, and that's why the numbers are less at certain points lately, and that's okay. It doesn't surprise me that on YouTube, the less toxic you are, the less numbers you're going to get, especially the way we've been rolling along, and what I put out there, the way that I do. It's like I almost asked for that on every level. I almost asked to cultivate a reactive audience at times who are just dead in the toxicity and even more toxic because they lack self-awareness and want to make excuses and justifications. And you don't have to look far nowadays to find that being. That's like the human condition, right? Lack of accountability, responsibility, trustworthiness, honorability, good faith, co-creative discernment. It's the last 4 or 5 years just cemented it for me and others, if you didn't already see that in history already. So we can keep looking at Paulie Boy and others and making judgments and discernments. Okay. Just do it accurately. Or we could just go back to self and go, well, what are we doing and being and creating? What are we serving? What are we actualizing and realizing? And when the answer is for the one who will not be named and the ones they represent in chat, we see you. We're on your Facebook. We see how you look. We see how you live. We see who's around you and who's not. We see how you're living. Like MTV used to do cribs. So you ain't fooling yourself and nobody. At the end of the day, we can do and be and have better. So that's my option. That's my offer to you. Let folks know if you want to do and be and have better. It doesn't require me. If you are doing that, I'll take notice. If you're not, I don't want you around me. And I should have stuck to that coming into this. I didn't, because I, much like the folks who call me a narcissist, actually have a big, enlarged from cheese, and also big, like, metaphorical heart. So I care about people. I don't want to like leave anyone behind. I don't want to X anybody out. But guess what? That's not how life works. You can't take everybody to the top or the bottom with you. Usually life puts forward certain people, places, and things that are quality above the rest. You take that, you leave the rest, is what I've learned, because the rest ain't for you. Not everybody or everything is for everybody all the time. Right? Quite the opposite. And there's no love lost in that. There's no hate that comes with that. There's just realization. If we're really real with ourselves and each other, we can look at certain folks and look around and realize who or what's meant to be with who and what and who's not. It ain't the right kind of divine timing, like they like to say. All right, questions, comments, concerns. The link is down there if you want. It's in the description. Apparently, discernment and judgment is bad until other folks do it because they want to chastise, castigate, project, and reject in their ignorance and arrogance. Discernment and judgment's bad when it's done on them. It's a par for the course daily when they use it to play power games with others. So I like that. That's a cool trick. Show me how to do that one. Oh, wait, actually not, because I like to purge the hypocrisy. So if we're going to be judging and discerning, let's do it. Let's go all the way. If you don't like it, well, then don't do it to others, especially when we open that portal up and we take a look, we realize there's a stark contrast, And again, this all comes back to square one when it comes to honorability, good faith, and courage, because that's really that was the uncovering for me on this walk, is that I was a big pussy. I was a big coward, right? I was insecure. So I started to walk a path of trusting myself in the process and forming myself to be somewhat honorable in truth, right? And faithful in that truth and moving forward, that the process will reveal more to me, that the universe will directly reveal more to me. And by doing that, oftentimes you can't take the praise or the blame or the projections or the rejections from others, because this world and the folks in it and folks around you will run you in circles, right? We've seen that. If we haven't witnessed that ourselves firsthand, we've seen that with others who play to the crowd, play to certain people, places, and things in their life. They lose themselves. So that's part of what I'm doing in this broadcasting venue. And in life, is practicing being ultimately myself in the moment, or sharing aspects of self and practicing reconciling that and being okay with it, good, bad, or indifferent, and then learning from that process. And as I've said from the beginning, that's a long game, right? So I've got a lot of the experience, I think, for the next chapter of my life, if I'm blessed to have good health and to heal, be able to move forward and do and be and have better. I've got a little bit more insight, I believe, on the idea of being loving and caring, and open your mind and heart, but also have a level of boundary or guarding. Well, not necessarily a guarding, but a sense of self-mastery. How about that? We'll harken back to the Tao. Man's own thoughts unguarded can help him even more than his own mother and father, but there has to be mastery, and I'm kind of adding that on at the end there, right? So it's not a guarded or unguarded. It's discerning through self-knowledge and self-mastery. What do I need? What needs to be done next? If nothing, well, then let it be. Because let's be clear. Usually a lot of the learning is non-learning. It happens third party through witnessing and experience. You can't really teach most people, including me, most likely, right? Lewis is every day sending me emails going, "Hey, dumbass, eat meat. You'll feel better." He can't teach me anything. The only way I'm going to learn is suffering, self-chosen, and then choosing to do something different, presuming that's the answer or not. So there's no amount of shaking people, ringing people, beating our head against the wall that's really ultimately going to change anybody else. It does help to facilitate a change in those onlookers witnessing. Right. But if that's the case, that doesn't require me needing or having anybody else, because I play the fool like everybody does sometimes. Everybody plays the fool sometimes. So since I've played that oftentimes in my life for different reasons, some more, I guess, virtuous, some less than, I have enough of my own experience to share with the folks, so that third party, they can look at me and go, we want to do that. We don't want to do that. See? And that is the game and the process here, for those who, despite my presentment, seem to not realize that or lose sight of that. I can call others a loser, failure, while also recognizing, that's why I coined the term Nama slave, right? I can't recognize a slave in other people that I don't recognize in me first. To deny that would be hubris and foolishness. So I've never denied that. I've never been so hubris filled that I've denied that or been so delusional. But the others who rail against me have, see? That's the ironic part about this. The folks still contending 3 years later, I'm egotistical and narcissistic, claiming that while not seeing their own egotism and narcissism, in love with their own identification with problems and lack of solutions, and then projecting onto me that I'm mean and not nice because I think that I may have an idea. God forbid. But that's to be expected. We live in a disempowerment, victim-minded and hearted culture. Well, not we. I guess we grow up in that, right? Everybody's a victim. Everyone's not getting what they deserve. Everyone deserves more. And how are we going to get it? By taking it from somebody else or projecting onto someone else and using some mechanism to do false equalization and leveling, right? Because everybody's equal and everybody's got to be forced into equality, even if that's not technically the case. So for the unnamed one and others in chat, remind yourself and others, it's your egotism, it's your narcissism, it's your arrogance that allows you to believe that you and everyone else are all equal when we go to the payoff and the payload and we go to the stats and the statistics, it doesn't add up and measure up. So that's what you want, that's what you like, that's not what it is. And that doesn't mean anybody's above or beneath anybody, it just means there's a different cause and effect and will or lack thereof that's playing out. So nama slave, namaste. Please incorporate both is my advice. I'm not going to give advice. It would seem to me that the most prudent thing to do, if we're going to talk light side, is also incorporate the dark side because both exist. So if you're going to say you see the light in others and it's all joy and love and positivity, don't forget that there's another side to that extreme. And again, you're going to get folks on here who manifest that. They'll say I'm one of them. I don't contend that. I may tend to one side, especially in this venue, because I've gotten off on some level playing the bad guy. But there are certain folks in these interwebs who are only going to focus on negativity and darkness. And instead of folks shutting that down and walling that up, keep an eye and an ear out because it may apply to you on some level, right? Would be the sensible thing to do. Right? We don't have to bathe in that. We don't have to ruminate in that. It doesn't have to be the whole of our existence. But what you deny, right, will overtake you on some level if you would choose to live based on what's comfortable and what you like versus from the position of what is. So I keep an eye and an ear out. And I reflect with myself and go introspective to remind myself, hey, Paulie boy, where you being a loser failure today or in your life? Where could you do and be and have better? Well, you better get to it because if not, there's consequence. Okay. So the consequence reveals in our lives where we have fallen short and where we yet to may fall short. The ignorance of that is arrogance. It is egotism. It is narcissism. You're so in love with your own reflection or a reflection you'd like to believe that reflects who and what you are, that you've negated or denied reality and life on life's terms to your own detriment and to others around you. And you know who I'm talking about being in the chat who will not be named because you named the one of the other beings who shall not be named at this time, who's gotten enough indirect promotion and insertion into the water supply to corrupt and poison the well. That's exactly what it is. That is not true love, and that is not true care. That is false love. And when the dopamine stops, that's when the pain comes. When you live like or with and around folks who do not want to access reality, but prefer to live in delusion and denial because they want to call it care and love. That is disempowerment. That is disintegration. That is denial and delusion. And I haven't seen it work for anybody yet. The link is there if they want to go up. Well, we know that. We know that. We know that the link is there, and the same folks who have things to say about me are too cowardly to address me directly. And that's okay. Right? I would prefer folks who do not want to meet life on life's terms and embody courage and faith to stay away from me because I intimidate them. It goes better for all of us. Even if I want it, like even if I want more folks and more interactions and all the rest, it's best for all of us if life on life's terms and the radical truth and accountability, responsibility intimidates you, if seeing the slave in you that you see in me, that I see in me, that I see in you intimidates you, don't come around me, because it's probably not going to go well. That's one of the prerequisites when I reversed engineered it to why I have, they say if you have a handful of really close friends in your life, then you're ahead of the game. And I have that. I could say I have at least 5, a handful of folks who are close to me, who I can count on, who I can trust, who can count on me and trust me, who we live our life by a certain principle and ethic, and we have a certain discernment where we can call ourselves and each other out if necessary with accountability, responsibility. That's one of the prerequisites. If you're not going to do that and you're not going to expect that of me, I want nothing to do with you, because there's no chance we're ever going to be successful. Unaccountable, irresponsible, delusional people in denial who want to play nicey nice and don't want to get the job done and do and be and have better and live in purpose and meaning and principles and shared value systems are never successful and prosperous. Okay? I don't care what the venue is. So that's a prerequisite for me. If I'm off on that, I'd like to hear an explanation of how and why. I'm sure it's not going to come today, because ultimately what I'm talking about is true. And there is no other way about it. And there's no one, Pizer, Baby Carson, Slackcott, there's none of them who are going to be able to come up here and tell me how them and their buddies who are unaccountable, irresponsible, toxically positive, in delusion and denial, soft people, right? And that doesn't mean we have to be hard either. It just means weak, right? Part of strength is vulnerability, recognizing where you've gone wrong and where you may yet to go wrong and where you need to course correct and do and be and have better. A failure to recognize that is weakness. So vulnerability, recognizing it, is part of strength. Failure to recognize your vulnerability is your weakness. And that's what we have with a lot of folks on here. They listen to Paulie Boy day in and day out for 3 years, call himself out on being fat and having to be more disciplined in certain areas, while others say, Paulie, you're a legend, you're a hero, you're so disciplined, you go to jail over and over, you give up everything to get everything back. There's aspects to it. There's levels to everything, right? And that's the whole point, is we got to take it all the way or go away and fade away, which is going to happen anyway on the lowest physical level at some point. For those who haven't figured it out yet, the hate you feel toward others is only the hate held for self. We cannot mentally hate others or actions if only... Yeah, well, it's not a hate. It's a recognition. It's a recognition of where I and I, self, on the highest and lowest level, have accepted less for ourselves, hence the enslavement idea, and unslaved. So it is considered the dark side of the force, and I play it up with my black t-shirt every day, right? And the way that I present at times, because it is the father to Luke Skywalker, the Darth Vader perspective, the dark side of the force, the dark side of creation, like the black hole of the universe, is what gives way to the co-creation. So it is considered the dark side of the force, but it is the father to a recognition of where we've accepted less for ourselves and each other, and where we could do and be and have better. This is why I love that intro I played the other day about the light side of the force and the dark side of the force, because they're two sides of the same coin that almost have to be understood and embodied at certain points in order to be a complete being, right? One of the aspects of the dark side of the force is passion. And I've said many times that the beings on here don't understand me or don't accept me or don't jive with me energetically because they're passionless. Doesn't matter how loving and caring and nice they are, they lack passion and vitality and virility. It's obvious in the way that they show up and look and present. So it's not that I should cease to be passionate. It's that dealing with them has reminded me at times that too much passion, like a flame, can burn you up from the inside out. Right? So these are dichotomies that play themselves out. So when you come in and you ride on passion, and you play that out 9 out of 10 times, what shows up is going to be passionless people. You put out what you get back, or you get back who or what is in need of what you put out, and then acts as a balancing act for you. So when I come full passion 9 out of 10 times, I attract a whole bunch of people, and we don't need to name them. You can tell by looking at them and the way they show up. They're passionless. So they're there to feed off of who and what I am. That's what inspiration is. They're there to feed off of who and what I am. And if I'm doing my job correctly or recognizing what's going on there, I can give some of that away without it burning me up and self-immolating. But of course, there has to seem to be a balance in that process, right? It can't be folks literally parasiting and using me and playing off me by being completely passionless and me having enough passion for 10 people in the room. We got to meet on some middle ground at some point. So I think that's what's happening more recently is the movements health-wise and others have caused me to refocus to realize the middle way once again. I don't have to be devoid of passion, but too much passion will burn you up from the inside out. It has to be directed, and there has to be, I guess, an awareness of the body politic. Good to see you deflated your head a bit. The people have spoken and you are listening. It's just not it's so funny that you guys do this because you want some place to live through me and you want to be an inspiration for me some way, somehow. And when you're not, you have to make that true for yourself, right? And this is why I could guess whose alternate account this is, because this is an alternate account. We know that, right? Am I wrong? Just give me a yes or a no. Alternate account or not. We know who this is. You guys have been trying to puppeteer me, use me, redirect me, project onto me, but you never show up and show who and what you are and what you're doing and not doing, right? So this is part of what has triggered me for so long, if you want to call it triggered me, is the constant narcissism that goes on from these chat boxes and these panel members, folks giving advice, telling me about me, projecting onto me, gaslighting me, and then just being wrong. Even when they're right, they're wrong. Because you just made all of what I decided to do about what other people have said to me and how they've tantrumed on me and left me and won't deal with me or whatever. That's not what's going on here. So you're wrong again. And now I'm having to double down on me being the big-headed one to point out how you're wrong. The people haven't spoken and I haven't listened. It's not what's gone on here. You should know me and my big-headed self better than that. My gallbladder and pancreas and my health and God has spoken indirectly, so I've answered. Because I'm not somebody who lives my life by what even a majority of people around me tells me to do and be and not do and be, if you haven't noticed. Please stop making yourself a reason why I'm doing and not doing things in my life. You've been doing that for so long, and that's why I don't like you and haven't liked you and don't want you around me. It's another parasitic quality. So that's your egotism, that's your narcissism, that's your need to be in control, that's your need to inspire someone who you think's inspired you. And I didn't ask for it and don't want it. I keep asking you to stop and you all don't go away. So that's the codependent, parasitic, projecting, ignorant, arrogant, hypocritical garbage that I just spoke about. And you're doing it now. You just left-handed complimented me to try to make yourself and others a reason for me changing when it's not my lack of big head that's done that. It's my complete selfishness. So you're even wrong. You're even right when you're wrong and wrong when you're right to some degree. My health and the decision to care more about me than the rest of you slaves on here is that a better way of putting it? It's more Pauly unslaved, right? My selfish need to feel and do and be and have better and all the rest has sparked a change in me. I don't give a fuck what you, Pizer, or anybody else has said or done or all the rest of it. I'm not saying you've been completely wrong. I'm saying the reason you pointed out is because of all the rest of the picture you don't want to acknowledge. So you're even right when you're wrong. And you also point to things as if I don't know that subconsciously, if not consciously, and choose to do something else anyway. That's a hallmark of who and what I am. It's a whole, whether it's anomalous, whether it's nonsensical, whatever you want to point out, I've chosen everywhere in my life to do something different than what conventional wisdom or lack thereof presents. To fuck around and find out. It's like the basis of my legal, lawful, and other walks in my life. So sorry to take that credit, non-credit from you. I'm still big-headed more than now than ever because I've really decided to care about myself and not give a fuck about the rest of you, because I've cared too much and put myself out there too much and yelled too much for what I care for and what matters to me that obviously doesn't matter for the rest of you. If it did, I wouldn't have to scream and yell because you'd already be on that journey and doing what needs to be done for yourself. So I'm actually reorienting out of self-indulgent selfishness to do and be and have better and care for myself the way I haven't been, because I've been like putting all my time, energy, attention into other people, places, and things. And that has its benefits. It has a group of folks who come about who've been inspired to change and do and be and have better. I'm thankful for that. And it has its detractions or detriments, right? A bunch of using, parasitic, wanting to trigger and incite group of soft, weak, unaccountable, irresponsible fence sitters who hang in the chat and want to ride the middle ground and want to live through me and play games with me instead of actually fellowship. See? So sorry to burst the bubble there. I'm not listening to you and others. That's a hallmark of who and what I am. If you think you're going to change me and live through me, just leave now. I've been telling you that for 3 years because I learned the hard way after I do what I want and realize what I need to do for me and therefore for others. It's just, there's no other way I could put it. If I put it any other way, I wouldn't be being honest with the audience about my track record. I know it's hard for you to realize that's one of the things I want to do is influence myself and others to do and be and have better and be like an actual, for free, by the way, leader in myself and in life, because I'm tired of being a loser, failure, slacker follower, right? It's not necessarily I want it to be heroic and to be considered something like that's nice, because I'm tired of being a loser, slacker, failure follower. That's it. See, another selfish, self-indulgent core motivation, got to get selfish to get selfless, as I oftentimes say. So because I decide to do these things for me, I indirectly decide to do them for you. Stop making it one before the other when it's exactly the other way around. See, I'd love to do like other content creators and pretend I'm something I'm not, but I'd have to live with me at the end of the day and the fact that I'm bullshitting you all so that I seem relatable. I shouldn't need to do that. The human walk and the ego or the pride versus self-realization and actualization, that story should already translate. It should already attract and create a bond and an understanding. I shouldn't have to remix it and make it nice, kind, and polite or fake to be relative. Quite the opposite. Questions, comments, concern, the link is down there. I'm also not interested in folks who come here for 3 years and sit in the chat all day, every day, and go to multiple chats and never get up here to interact or other places and want to live the life of a half-assed, lukewarm, fence-riding coward. I prefer you just stay silent. That's just my preference. You know, and tends to be I get what I want here, oddly enough, till I realize again, maybe what needs to happen for myself and others. Maybe there's something I'm not aware of. But that hasn't been the experience. So if you want to talk to me and about me and me bettering my life, at least give me the opportunity to be the unthankful, ungrateful, selfish, rejecting, ignorant, arrogant motherfucker like you all have been, some of you, for 3 years. Just give me that opportunity up on panel, right? So you could just say, well, I tried. Tried to offer a good word. What I see is truth. He judged me. What he thinks is discernment, acted like an asshole to me. And as they've said, humiliated folks, because that's what I get accused of, humiliating people on a panel. Right? And then, of course, I will retort with, if you're that easily humiliated, we got big trouble coming. I don't know if anyone's looked around lately. If me just giving my perspective or rejecting yours on a panel with 100 fucking people is humiliating, don't tell him what may be coming for him next on a world stage. Don't tell him what the last 4 years has done around him and to him for the last It's beyond 5 years. It's 500, 5,000 years. But Paulie Boy's humiliating people on panels, speaking truth and or his delusion in front of 150 live viewers. Doesn't get any worse than that, huh? Incredible. Okay, I'm gonna still no ticket or summons for the wreck I got into in Wyoming in August. Yeah, because the majority of this stuff that we see and hear and gets put forth is bullshit. Right? You want it summed up in one. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. In case folks are wondering, you just throw away like everything. Like they say, Paul, why do you talk metaphysics and conscious and all? Just keep it to legal lawful. I don't want to be pigeonholed. I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about in the moment. I will not be self-limiting, and I will not be limited by other self. But just so you know, it's kind of obvious. Like, it wasn't obvious to me till about 10 minutes ago. I'm sort of kidding. It wasn't obvious to me till a year and a half, 2, 3 years in. We're probably about at least 5 years, if not 8 years into a walk and a journey here. That I, however that works, right? This is not coming from ego. This is coming from more, I guess, trust, equity, and faith and inspiration, right? It's like goes from confusion and chaos to those things. To where I go, wow, for some reason I have been chosen to walk a walk that is ahead of its time. I didn't know that, right? It's just like Carl Lentz coming here the other day. The reason he's here is because I and him and others are chosen to walk a walk that's way ahead of its time, that ironically or paradoxically is way behind in its time. See, how does that work? He did the salad thing again. He just double talked. Because it's like we're looping light age, dark age, and we're way late in the game. But when it comes to the rest of the slaves, we're way ahead of the game. See? So we're I guess behind the curve, but ahead of the slaves, which isn't hard to do. So that's it. Like the rest of all this stuff and this experience is extras. The rest of it is like, either deciding to entertain and getting enjoyment out of that, or talk about other subjects, or just play my part, my role, and my position. You could argue it's already done to some degree. Like I came in on the X, it's line 2, scene 3, play it out, give the other folks the experience and the inspiration, or call that out of them, right? So then they can do the same. It's like ripples of a wave. So even though it's most likely not over, may not even be completely just getting started, I've already fulfilled that prophecy in that process. So that's why retired judges and others, right? And we're going to play Fleischer today. Like, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but Fleischer's like growed a beard lately. You can start to, this is how easy it is to profile someone. Fleischer goes, soon Fleischer's going to show up with a black t-shirt like this, bearded up. And he's going to be not finding probable cause on like 3/4 of these cases because everyone's getting the wake up call. Paulie Boy and others are just ahead of their time. Paulie Boy and others are just here to slap everyone upside the head, including themselves, and go, what the fuck have we been doing? What is this about? On every level conceivable. So whether it's the health, whether it's the chemtrails, right? Because it goes hand in hand, right? What they're spraying in the water, in the skies, the legal and lawful situation, taxation is theft. No, it's not. You signed up for it. So we're all here at this time to remind ourselves and everyone else what we could be doing and should be doing versus what we are doing and why it needs to change. Because that's getting out ahead of what God or the universe is going to bring as an effect scenario, which is probably going to happen anyway. Right, the levels of dis-ease are already off the charts. The levels of bureaucracy and fascism and collectivism completely off the charts. Medical tyranny, yep, you got it. The like I said, bureaucracy and fascism tied in with policy, statute, and code, and the big business corporatism, right? All one and the same. So that's all this is. Human beings are being avatared on both sides, dark and light side of the force, to produce an experience that then leads to an experience that then leads to an experience that changes the outcome and the result to alter the timeline. And it seems to do that perpetually from the beginning of time till the end of time. So we're just playing a role. Like they say, all beings on the world stage are players upon it, right? Something along those lines. We're all actors or players on the world stage. So there's no such thing as coincidence on that level. That is synchronicity, right? I getting a hold of certain information and then looking more and digging more and applying more and getting results is part of a long line of choices that are an idea whose time has come. That is the experience of God. That is the collective unconscious being made conscious, right? So yeah, you're going to start to see what you're now seeing, and it's so great to see the slaves, because they'll never, not that it needs to be done, because ultimately there is no Paul enslaved. It's just God again. It's just the devil again, right here. God, devil, like on both sides of the shoulder, right? But they'll never give the credit that, hey, if anything does change or happen, it's not Donnie and Elon. Right. And if it is, it's because they already got the tail end of the wave from the bottom up. That's how this happens. So because I and others have made a name for ourselves, and more importantly, put certain information, understanding on the map, the more it's gotten out there through the cracks. You wouldn't believe, and I'm not saying this again from an egotistical, prideful perspective, you wouldn't believe how many people actually know of me. The numbers don't reflect it at times, it would seem, because I can't put it together, but I've had the experience. You wouldn't believe how many people know of me and certain things I've said that they've taken it and run with it. And the same goes for me. That's a back and forth process. We get a vision or an inspiration, or our attention called to something. Someone gives us a piece and we extrapolate the rest, and then more becomes known. So this is a back and forth feedback loop process. Folks like myself and others who come here are a part of sharing the information and experience that is trickling up, because it has to some degree. And then usually, I'm not going to say what it's going to be, but usually what they do is co-opt, right? They take that grassroots trickle up movement and they co-opt it. They insert themselves into it, co-opt it, twist it. And I guess, interestingly enough, things get worse somehow, some way. But that's the reason you're seeing what appears to be a change, that they're all now running around. Elon's doing it, Donnie's doing it. If they are, it's because so many of us on the lowest level said, we're done, we're out, we're not going to play anymore, and you got to lock us all up or kill us to get it done. And certain people are now making the decision that, hey, you know what? Let's not do this if it's happening, right? Because I won't contend one way or the other. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't change what we do on the ground or don't do. But if it is happening, it's because of what we on the ground are doing and not doing, what we'll take and no longer take. It's because I got about a dozen people close to me. That's just me, right? And those are just the people I know. I guarantee it's 10 times that. If I was to take a poll and get the 1.5 to 2,000 regulars who come here up to 7 to 10,000 repeat viewers at times, when the algorithm has put that forth, right? I would bet you it's at least 10 times that. So if I'm just one person and I've helped to facilitate for myself and others hundreds of people leaving Babylon in the Matrix, you don't think that that's going on from one side to the other? It is. It's not talked about. It's kind of hush hush. A lot of folks don't want to come out loud and proud about it. We're here. We're queer. Get used to it. I'm doing a bit, but yeah, I guarantee, because again, I've been shocked. There's been times I message people on Facebook, dozens of times. They go, "Oh, we know who you are." We actually, they humbled me, because I showed up on some feed and I go, "You guys are talking like a bunch of slaves over here," and they go, "Oh no, we know who you are. We actually hold you in high regard, and we're trying to take what you've been putting down and run with it." And I go, "Oh well, I didn't know you cared." I go, "I guess." Kind of sorry on the slave thing, not really though, because still the truth remains the same. But yeah, that's part of the algorithmic games, is what I've chalked it up to, is that they don't want to let anybody, and probably for my own good, they don't want to let folks know individually on the ground how influential they can be, because then you get a big head, like the Truth Hurts says in chat, and you start thinking that you're powerful and you live beyond your means to some degree. More importantly, what it is And that could be one of the deleterious effects of true power that leads to false power. But one of the real reasons is from the other side is they don't want the individual to realize how powerful and influential they can be. That's why the first channel can't get more than 20 live viewers on it with 20,000 subscribers, because they want to pretend, like the creature in chat just said before it was banned, no one listens to you or watches you anymore, Polly boy. You played out your last hand. You were never really influential anyway. You were just a flash in the pan. It doesn't really matter whether it's a long term or not. Like, I've done certain things that have put me on record with other folks and inspired other folks to put themselves on record. That's all this game is. And I could arguably say the majority of other non-content creators and hosts and all the rest of it have not done any of that. They've not inspired anybody to do or be or have anything different. If anything, they've inspired them to continue to do the same old shit and act like it's all going to be okay, because we got a non-unity online where we can go and huddle up and get under the blankets from the boogeyman. So yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. It feels good to be a part of an authentic, organic, grassroots, quote unquote, movement, non-movement, where we inspire ourselves and each other to do and be and have better. And come hell or high water, some way, somehow, that is going to trickle back up and create a realization to some folks somewhere that, hey, just don't even mess with these guys, or you got to go all the way and whack them. Which, that's fine if we want to do that. Another political prisoner or purge event, as we've seen in the past. Well, you got to make that move. And I would say, don't rule it out either. But what's the alternative? Live the rest of our lives following statute, policy, and code, not upholding the law of the land, not exercising rights? Who wants to live like that? Yeah, it's exponential. If you do the work and you get a result, or if you just show courage and good faith and honorability, you will inspire somebody to do the same. Oftentimes, it seems we don't realize that. Yeah, I think there's two sides to it. Yeah, I guess I don't let it humble me as much as maybe it should, in the sense of, I always kind of feel or want it to be more. But that's part of the false self that can chase an image of what it believes it to be with no understanding of what it actually is. So I got to give it over to the universe and God at that point. Because if I let that aspect of me, it'll be like, well, why isn't there? And I don't. That's the point. When I'm because there's a dualistic experience here, and it's kind of, it can be scary to self. Like when you see dozens of things that you've been talking about that has not been mainstream ever, and you start to see more and more things synchronistically coming about in the mainstream, you go, holy crap. Because then you make it about you, right? You go, is everyone listening to me? That's the schizophrenic aspect of it. Is everyone listening to me? Does everyone know and it's like, no, it's not a you thing, right? It's I am that I am. And because the idea's time has come and you got in alignment with that ahead of time, when it shows itself, it would almost seem as if the whole world is listening to you. That's the last shall be first, the first shall be last. So you go from feeling alienated to no one's ever going to understand or walk it, to this is now mainstream. Everyone's talking it, whether they're walking it or not. It's almost as if they're listening to this or other broadcasts that are like this, which I don't really know too many folks who talk about what I do, other than the Alex Joneses and that whole crowd, which ultimately at the end of the day, we saw them chump him out and take all of his money, and him not even stand at court without a fucking attorney who got him caught up and played him out. So to me, that's a fail. You know, it's like if you don't even try, then you're bound to fail. He didn't even try. You know, so where I sit legally, lawfully, and what it's going to take for the devil to give safe passage to this populace, it's not even close on that level because that's the best you had in the public eye, right? There's a ton of guys on the ground banging it out who you've never heard or seen from, probably never will. You know? But in the public eye, you had about like 1 or 2 or 3 folks who were yelling rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. This is all about God, guns, and glory. And when the time came to stand on something, they weren't about nothing. So that's kind of why I think that what I do and folks who do what I do, it's a little bit different, right? It's like, this is the real deal. This is where the change is going to happen. You want U.S. corporation to recognize you as man and woman again and uphold your rights and actually protect you, you know, and not that they have a duty to keep you safe, but actually uphold your rights and property rights. Well, then you got to bang it out. You not only have to make them believe that you're not violent and not going to overtake what they're doing, but that you're not going to go away and are willing to die or go to a box for your values. And then they're going to make a decision. Do we actually uphold this and work with these people, or we just spray them down and genocide them like bugs? And I think that's being decided potentially right now because it's going to be dependent upon what we do and don't do. So like, you know, faithfully, when I heal up and I get more time, energy, and attention, and will, I and others will sue these chemtrail folks because I'm going to Oregon, you know, barring some kind of change, which has come up over and over again. If everything goes through and we go to Oregon, well, then they're getting sued. We're going to start there. And it's probably going to end there because we got nothing but time, energy, and attention. There's nothing else to do other than grow crops and build shit. You know, in the day-to-day sort of generalized habits of life, we got nothing but time, energy, attention to do what's true and what's right. So it's just like it starts now because someone out there is listening to me and they're going to learn more about legal process or take what they've learned and sue a chemtrail pilot. And that's going to be that because they're going to have to ground it or hire someone else. And then you just keep doing it. That's how you use the system the way it's meant to be used to stop what they're doing. You just clog up the system with a whole bunch of paperwork because they need to stop doing what they're doing and they need to ground them while we decide what's happening. That's how you get that done. And then you make it unprofitable for these folks to continue to hire people to put them in planes to spray a bunch of crap on you because every time you see it, they got to show up to court and answer for it and litigate and hire attorneys. You're going to have to figure out how to do it a different way. You know, so again, the only way evil triumphs is good men and women do nothing. The only way that this stops and changes is good and great men and women make themselves and America great again and use the system the way it's been designed to use to get the outcome that we desire or we know is necessary and proper. So again, the linchpin is legal lawful, right? Because let's be real, most of you folks, I've seen you Trumpers and the rest, you put your uniforms on, you claim you're going to go to war. I think you're a bunch of punk pussies. I don't think you're going to start a war. I don't think you're going to be able to win a war. I think if anything, you'll fight a skirmish war of attrition from state to state that eventually will render you and U.S. corporation bankrupt, in which case they will just use the new financial system to generate more debts and obligations and credit to continue on their colonization program worldwide. So it never works that way. Revolution means complete circle for a reason, right? Resolution is something different. That's where we break the loop. We break the cycle, right? So war's not the answer, and you folks ain't going to get it done anyway, because I've been to the rallies and I've seen the troops in their uniforms and I've heard the rah-rah, and I'm not buying it. And if I'm not buying it, they're not buying it. You got a better option of like gangbangers worldwide uniting with bikers and potentially they're not even going to do it. They're a bunch of punk pussies as well. They got all their statute, policy, and code, licenses, registration. When the cops stop them, they go, yes, sir, no, sir. They don't know nothing about legal and lawful. They hire attorneys who get them all hemmed up, or they hire corrupt attorneys to get them off completely because they're not oriented toward justice, even after they kill people, right? So This is going to be a select few outlaws who are in-laws, folks who are not causing loss, injury, and harm, who are not criminally oriented, who may have a background in criminality at some point in their life. Many of them not, because they were not on the fringes of society till society put them on the fringes by default. So yeah, COVID is a precursor to a new wave of folks who are more conscious and aware and willing to do whatever is necessary to avoid having to die in a plexiglass box with a fucking ventilator down their throat for their safety. So everything's right on time. Those are going to be the folks who actually have been and are making the changes. And we know that because they've tried to do January 6th events and all the rest of it. We've had folks, out of 5 people up there, one of them was here trying to troll me and hate on me from January 6th. So that's the psychological operations in warfare. They're doing that to try to get out ahead of a whole group of folks who they already know the devil as a consciousness knows is coming forth. And quite frankly, respects coming forth and knows needs to come forth because it's been a long time coming. Where are all the good and great men and women from sea to shining sea who are willing to exercise rights and uphold the law? And if you ain't there, you got no fucking excuses. Why not? You got nothing but time, energy, and attention on your hands, and the information and the understanding to do and be and have better, and to make America great again. So everything's right on time. I and others are the on the ground make America great again, and they've elected some frontman stage show performer to speak that and to half-ass that supposedly from the top down. So we're going to find out who's who and what's what, and this is not going away. So it'll be fascinating to see how this consciousness and awareness updates itself or lack thereof as we move forward with what has been presented. And you can argue this is all just a grand stage show plan that the universe has formed for us all to play out. Like when I step back from it, I go, this thing has formed me to be here doing what I'm doing at this time since the beginning of time. Like however time works, at least from my time coming into this reality, there's nothing else like on a world stage scale that I could be involved in or be a part of that would make as much sense. And it seems that there's a bunch of other folks just like me, right? Regardless of how good of grades they got, how intelligent they were, how successful they were, what they have when it comes to family and business, something in their beingness from day one has said something's not right here. We need to do and be and have more. And the last 4 or 5 year simulation really showed them what that is, along with me and others being an example. So it's fucking divine timing. It's fascinating to witness. And again, Carl Lentz and other interactions we've had on this broadcast are a proof of the synchronicity. Right? Folks can no longer gaslight me and others in this non-unity that Paulie's a schizo, he's in a trailer, he's crazy, he's poor, and they don't know what I have, what I do, who I know, how the universe knows me, how it works with me, and they ignore all the signs and the symbols of true power. Right? See, I don't ignore that, and that's why I'm so egotistical and narcissistic, because I've watched the universe over and over again have my back and put into my life exactly what I'm supposed to have when I'm supposed to have it, and take away what I'm not supposed to have. Right? Because sometimes you got to give something up to get something back. It's done it over and over again to the point that that's all I got, right, with my discernment. So that's proof of faith. That's proof of divine timing and divine inspiration and co-creation. That's proof of to everyone else within the sound of my voice here that they are a part of that experience, not because they show up here, because they are human, as they like to say, which I don't necessarily like that term, but colloquially we'll use it for the time being. Because we are spirit having a fleshly experience, because we are connected to the otherworldly, because we influence ourselves and each other and our reality more than we realize, truly holding an image and a vision and idea and moving forward into that, regardless of what it looks and seems like, when you walk in faith and trust and equity, you will be given what is meant for you if you can stand the tests and the challenges, which oftentimes makes people fold and go back to the business as usual. All right, I'm looking over my chat, creatures. Let's go dock a little bit. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Let's finish the Cameron Wilson video. No license, no ID, no registration, right to travel. And this guy, if I'm going to be discerning or judgmental, looks evil. And I'm not saying that evil doesn't live within me. There's a dark and a light side. We've gone over that. But there's certain folks who, when you look at them where they are presently in their life, and maybe I look like that to other people. I guess we'd have to do a survey. But guys like this with the dark circled eyes, you know, and just the crazed look in their eyes, they're always kind of like, you know, Jekyll and hiding and giggling and laughing, but they got this 1,000-yard stare. Look demonically possessed. But I don't want to get into that judgment and discernment because aside from that, this being in the video actually looks like he's getting a kick out of this man who's upholding rights and exercising freedom. A lot of them do. Like the cops, a lot of them at the end of the day, they don't care. They're running on a belief, and what their training is. They see interactions with me and others as kind of interesting and funny, if not despicable. There's kind of like 2 or 3 camps. There's ones who are interested, who are buying in as we speak because they realize it applies to all of us and it's common sense and it's foundationally correct when they go look up the codes. There's people who are interested. There's people who are entertained because they think I and others are a bunch of SovCits jokes, right? There's an old saying, first they mock you, right? Then they fight with you. Then you beat them and you win, right? Something along those lines. So that's what we're going through here. You know, we have those mocking us who think it's all a big joke. We have those who are actually interested because they've been whooped at court over and over again and can't imagine somebody could go into court with no attorney and win over and over again because they know the law better than some clown on the side of the road who can't get his head out of his own ass. Yeah. And then there's the ones who go, not only is this not interesting and funny, you are everything. This is the irony. You are everything bad and wrong with this nation. You're entitled. You're some kind of commie, right? This is like the suburban redneck, if you will, who rides around in the blue line Chevy, you know, who has the blue line on one side and come and take it on the other side and can't figure out they are come and take it. But they're like, you are everything that's bad in this world, in this country. You're entitled, collectivist. And I go, no, that's you. I'm not a communist collectivist. I'm not entitled. I'm responsible and accountable for whatever I'm doing, and I can cover the spread here, and I have a right to travel. And their only answer is, if we got to do it at our house, what makes you think you ain't got to do it? And I go, well, funny story is when you're not in a corporate capacity, nobody has to do it. Some kind of SovCit mumbo jumbo, boy. You know, because again, I'm the egotistical narcissist, collectivist, communist, Marxist fool in that scenario while it's them. Because it's like maybe you just got a blind spot because what you've been told is oftentimes usually not the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So it's weird, right? It's weird after 5 years for anyone you would think who's like alive and breathing and walking around to be able to look at any scenario and not immediately go, maybe there's something here we're not perceiving us because we've regularly been wrong about how reality works. You would think the last 4 or 5 years or 10 years would have done something to these people. To go, maybe there's something here we're not perceiving of because we're not the all-knowing. We're not the most intelligent thing. And nobody thinks like that, right? Nobody's like has enough humbleness and humility while telling me I have none. To go, maybe we're just wrong here again. No, it's easier to go, Paul, you're just wrong here again. And I go, I got a pretty good track record of being right, like 8 out of 10 times when it comes to global politics, you know, even domestic, common sense understanding of how this is all working. And way better percentages than the rest of you. But see, that's when they do the thing. We switch positions. Paulie boy's egotistical and narcissistic. He says that based on the track record, he's got an 8 out of 10 while we're like 2 out of 10. These are folks still running around thinking they're going to vote their way out of the tyranny they voted themselves into. These are folks who think that paying the taxes for the roads. You know, these are folks who think, well, the state of Israel this time has our best interest and we have its best interest and it's best for the world and all the rest of it. They haven't met an issue that they don't want to be wrong on and proclaim to all their buddies and on social media that they finally found the answer. I mean, what do you call a group of people like this? I didn't want to get into it. It's not nice, kind, and polite, but what do you call people like this if not just completely retarded? Folks who won't even look at their own legal codes and policies and statutes, but then say we all have to follow them. And when you pointed out that it's not what they say it is, they just go, well, we'll let the judge decide that. And I go, the judge already has ruled in my and others' favor over and over again. Are you going to stop? Are we done? Can you concede that I've known more than you and I've accepted common sense and you are the collectivized Marxist retard? Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter that I got a pot belly and you have a great physique. Doesn't matter that you make $100,000-$200,000 a year and I live in a trailer. None of that matters at this point. It's hard for them to, these people don't wake up until you got $1 billion and you're the hottest thing in town. And then they go, maybe he knows something. So maybe that's what has to happen. I have to get rich like Andy Taint, the thumbnail today. Paulie Taint. I got to get $1 billion and a 6-pack for these suburban beer drinking tards to like even wake up to listen to me. Maybe Andy and others are on to something. You live in the trailer, and you have a low standard for doing well for yourself when it comes to fiduciary means, and you got somewhat of a pot belly. Everyone checks out. That's the world we live in. Infidels. Well, that's one of the names for it. We can't consider honor and good faith and truth if it's coming from someone who we can't judge as having a high worldly status. If we can't inject vanity and false pride into the scenario, we can't be receptive to the truth. I get it to some degree. I get it. All right, let's continue it. No license, no ID, no reg, and the cop is just grinning from ear to ear because he's one of the ones who he's excited, he's interested. Hey, he wants it. A lot of these cops want the no license, registration, insurance, and plates. They don't want to be taxed. They don't want none of it. They're just not willing to be the courageous people they say they are and actually stand on rights.
To waive any fundamentally protected right in order to exercise any right or alleged privilege. And no law can convert the free exercise of any right into a crime. I have repeatedly informed you I choose not to waive any of my fundamentally protected rights. So I ask you again, Officer Gates, 516, badge number, do you intend to harm, injure, steal my property, or otherwise punish me for invoking my fundamentally protected rights?
Absolutely not. I think you're great. Gates, Pierce County Sheriff's Office, I'm going to give a call up there, brother. I hope you don't do me bad on other stuff out there in the streets. I hope you're good like this to the rest of the people out there. Because if you are, you got a real chance, man, at changing this nation. You keep up that attitude and just getting those crooks out there for us, man. Boy, I'll tell you what, we'll be proud of you.
Well, I do have a question about number 12 there.
Yep.
So it says that, well, let me just read that one more time.
No law is valid if it requires me in any way to waive.
To waive any protected right.
Yeah.
So you think that freedom of speech can absolutely not be, if freedom of speech is just do whatever, so you can say anything you want, it can't be a law.
As long as it don't harm nobody and there's no injured party, yeah.
Okay, I like that. It doesn't harm anybody. So I mean, like,
yeah, there's
like threats to be like harming someone.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, then we agree. Okay. I figured that would be a good dialogue. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not going to sign on with that. I think it's nonsense. What man, if they're threatened by another man, calls cops in order to help keep them safe, as if it could be done anyway? I tell everyone who says they're going to come kill me and shoot me, well, let's get it done. I even give them an opportunity to meet me somewhere. If that's the case, let's get that done. But hey, someone threatened me, so now I'm going to bring in a corporate service provider in order to stick around with me and watch me all day to keep me safe. That's not reality. It's not life as a man. And here's a crazy clue. There used to be a time where there was a thing called a family in a community. And if you threaten a child or a woman or someone else who was an invalid, you got what for? If you tried to act on it. I know, it's fucking, I know, guys, this is all the content creators. Guys, this is crazy stuff, guys. That there would be a thing called families and communities and villages. And if anybody came in there or from within tried to do harm to anybody who couldn't defend themselves, they'd be dealt with by even a mob of people. Guys. But we can't do that because that's not nice, kind, and polite. That's not like civilized. We got to hire other people to do it who are from outside the community. We're going to bring people to dungeons, tase them and spray them and all the rest. Guys, you're just outsourcing your responsibility and accountability to a group of corporatists. We could just take accountability, responsibility, like so many do across this nation from the beginning of time. It's why we had guns. Some places, some people, I get it. There's a lot of places where they don't anymore. It's criminalized, so only the criminals have the guns. You get it. Makes sense if you don't think about it. Yeah, that used to be a real reality. Still is a lot of places out in the middle of nowhere, like where I'm living, where it's nothing but farms and the cops won't even come out. Well, the cops don't even come out. See, I already answered indirectly. So there's no cops coming out here. There's no one coming to save you. That means you got to be accountable and responsible. That means you got to have pistols and rifles. And that means like when the guy down here threatened me and this guy, like he did, I said, well, go ahead and do it. Why talk about it? It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to hurt somebody, why even talk about it and tell them? Why not just meet privately and get it done? Why forecast it like the weather? So if you're not going to do it, well, then don't talk about it. Because guess what? There used to be a time where and again, not saying that I want this or that I'd want to act on it because then I'd have to live with it. I prefer to just kind of retire to our mutual corners and let people say whatever they're going to say till they act on it. But used to be a time, hey, you threatened me, well, I'm going to come for you now. Because you just threatened me and my livelihood and all the rest, and I'm not going to live waiting for you to come act it out. Because used to be a thing called integrity where when you said something, you got it done. So used to be a thing called a man. Used to be a thing called honor and integrity. Used to be a thing called a man's word. And when he said he was going to do something, he followed through with it and did it. I don't care if it was killing and dying for something. So when a man told you, hey, I'm going to come kill you and your whole family, you presume he's going to do it at some point. So maybe you get out ahead of it. I know that's not nice. It's not kind. It's not polite. It doesn't feel good. Right. And we've progressed so far from that point that now everybody sits around, doesn't care for themselves and each other, isn't accountable, responsible, a bunch of gelded, disempowered, weaponless slaves, and they call some corporatocracy, some corporatist service provider to take care of them and their families, right? And you can argue males who do this have literally occupied the position of bitches of society. The cops are now your daddies. Service providers are now your daddies and mommies, and you're basically the side bitch. You're the side hoe. You know, and you do whatever they tell you can do. Instead of us realizing this is America. America was great because it was populated by great men, and behind every great man is a good woman, and both are usually trained in firearms and other various forms of weaponry, and both are usually willing to kill or die to secure themselves and their property rights and freedom and the rest of it. And that's what made it a free and dangerous place for tyrants and corrupt scum and low-life thug scum who want to like make threats on people. I'm just talking about what used to be. Used to be nobody would threaten anybody without expecting something to happen. Nowadays, people just do whatever. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. And hey, the court's going to come get you out of all of it or keep everybody from acting on it, right? This is the complete neotenization and infantilization of a whole race, let alone the Americans and the American way. This is why the males are so fucking weak and despondent. And this is why the women are so Jezebel'd, harloted out. And this is why the children have followed suit. It's no wonder to me. Sorry, I'm supposed to not be talking as much. Sorry to me.
It's nice and warm in there, man. I like that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That sucks that you guys are have to.
It's nice and warm in my lower cavity.
Well, yeah, man. Hey, we're just trying to keep everyone safe, man.
Yeah, there it is.
There's a big.
We wouldn't have got anywhere if we didn't get the obligatory. We're just keeping everyone safe, right? Are you? Are we really? Again, don't let me ask why they haven't arrested Fauci and you know Billy Gates, Uncle Billy. We love them, but we got some stuff to talk about. You know, why? Well, like, what's that about? You're too busy stopping someone for traveling without a piece of paper, like we're in Nazi Germany. But we're just keeping everyone safe. But you won't go arrest the guy who just sprayed 1,000 chemicals in the sky, who just put the death chemicals in the water. They won't ever go arrest anybody who's actually killing everyone, including them. But they'll stop you on the side of the road for the no paper because we're keeping everyone safe. Really? Anyone still buying this crap at this point? You're a bunch of punk fucking ass-kissing teacher pet cowards who sucked up to the corporate status system, and you want a pension and a retiree program for upkeeping their fucking mafiosi thuggery campaign going. Let's just be real about it. You're going to ride with the legal system. You're going to overthrow what's lawful. You're going to impinge on everybody's property rights and rights of their person because you got a check coming. That's the bottom fucking line. You get to be a loser, failure, wannabe G.I. Joe playing hero in house with your pathetic women and children who all emulate your crap because you don't know history, you don't know yourself, and you're willing to take a check to sell it all out. And it wouldn't be complete if we didn't repeat right from the Nazi handbook. If you go and pull up the videos, it's right from the fucking handbook with just keeping you safe. Got it. And you guys got to live it now. You got to go down in history as another bad faith, dishonorable coward playing hero who's selling out the nation and everything good and great and repeating the literal words of the fascistic Holocaust. From one land to the next. Doesn't matter where you go, what time in history, it's the same fucking consciousness, the same dark circled eyes and jaundiced skin. This is from someone who has endocrine problems right now. I still haven't got the yellow skin and dark circled eyes. God willing, I won't. Like Angela Baby, Voldemort Carson, and all the rest. But they got it. All the ones who work out, all the ones who run 10 miles a day, all the ones who are just doing good and keeping everyone safe look like they've died already. The weirdest thing ever. And then when Brian O'Shea in the intro says, you might be serving something you don't even know what it is, like the devil, she looks right in the fucking camera and goes, and looks away. They even know subconsciously and consciously what they're a part of and what they're serving. And it manifests through their covering, their skin covering. Just look at these people.
But you know, for the freedom of movement and
the freedom of movement, what does that mean?
Freedom of movement, the freedom to go from point A to point B without being bothered. Or, I mean,
well, sure, right? But wouldn't that be like pure anarchy if you could just drive however you wanted anywhere?
Well, RCW 46 clearly states that it only applies to commercial vehicles.
Well, I think you're wrong somewhere in there because RCW 46 covers way more than just
the Supreme Court.
It encompasses everything.
The Supreme Court's upheld it on a lot of federal levels.
What cases?
I don't have.
Traffic stops can only be done on commercial vehicles.
Yeah, it only applies to commercial unless you agree to contract.
How am I allowed to do traffic stops?
Because you've been lied to. It's fraud.
Wait.
It is.
You imagine this non-logic. Do you know any history? What allowed the Nazis to go around rounding up women and children? What allowed it? Everyone allowing it. That's it. That's how simple it is. It's not what the statute says and doesn't say anything. It's not what it reads and doesn't read. It's because nobody's doing anything different on the whole. That's how it's allowed to happen, because we all allow it to happen. The day we all say we're done, like this guy and me and others, and the guy on the side of the road who I don't advocate for it, but hey, he's a man. He told the guy, if you try to interfere with my property rights, we're going to have a gunfight on the side of the road. I don't think we should go that way with it, but I can't stop you. I don't advise people do something I wouldn't do. I don't give advice anyway, but I don't invoke force or violence. Right? But the day that comes where folks say this far and no further, we're done and we're over, you got to kill me or go to a box, is the day that it changes. It's not what the statute reads and doesn't read. Get a fucking clue. These people are beyond retarded. It's worse than dealing with a prepubescent child. A prepubescent child, after 4 or 5 of these interactions, starts to get the clue. I don't know what that is.
Do you just think like across the U.S., every single cop is in violation of
Yes.
the Supreme Court case law?
Well, not
One better for you. Across the U.S., every single citizen slave is in violation of U.S. federal law and spiritual law. Don't mean to like crash the party here and kill the vibe. But yeah, you're voting for corporations and presidents of corporations to use policy and code to overwrite and overthrow the law of the land. You've even amended the Constitution to do it. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. He says it like everyone else is retarded. This is the blind spot of humanity, the ignorant, arrogant. You mean to tell me you're saying something could possibly be the case where every cop from sea to shining sea is in error? Yeah, not only that, but the public and the populace as well. That's how mind and heart control works. That's how God and the devil works. There's a few who can see the truth, feel it, hear it, know it, speak it, live it. The rest are deceived. This is nothing new, pal. You might want to pick up a 2,000-year-old Bible. You'll see the same fucking dynamic.
No, not necessarily for this reason alone.
Okay.
If I agree that I'm driving, then yes, the traffic code applies to me. But I'm not driving. I'm traveling. I made that clear in number 3, 4.
I wasn't here for number 3.
Okay,
Here for number 3.
I read it to you. I actually repeated it.
Did you
It's
read that
it's
one?
on the record too. I got a recording going. Yeah. For the record, I am not operating in higher capacity by engaging.
Yes, you did.
By engaging in any form of transportation or other commercial use of the highways.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone said that.
What you guys are policing is transportation. It has nothing to do with my right to be free and move about.
I think I think you're kind of taking the wording differently.
Oh no, it's clear.
Transportation, commercial driving is like 18-wheelers.
No,
right?
no,
But
not necessarily.
You're driving a car,
Everything's commercial.
and not everything is commercial.
Everything is commercial because it's all covered by UCC code. Universal Commercial Code covers everything.
What are you using your car for?
For it's private property. UCC
So
9.
you're not using it commercially.
UCC 9-109 says it's private property. I can register it. I don't have to register it. I can.
Okay. But so here's the interesting.
UCC 9-109.102 clearly says that it's private property, and I do not have to register it. It's household goods.
I disagree.
We don't have to. You can disagree. I agree. I mean, you're just.
All right, Mr. Stackle, I'm gonna get you on your way. Exactly.
He said, "Well, I disagree." It's like that one lieutenant that come to me in Ridgefield, and she's like, "Well, I'll have to disagree with you." And I was like, "I don't care if you disagree or not. You're not a Supreme Court judge, are you?" She said, "Nah, I'm not." I said, "Okay, then what you trying to do? You can't overrule what's already been spoken on."
But what I have with me is a notice of infraction through Pierce County District Court. The violations on here are for speeding 14 miles an hour over the speed limit, operating without providing proof of liability insurance, no driver's license on person, and expired vehicle license plates over 2 months expired. They do give you some instructions on your infraction on how you respond to the court. They give you 30 days to respond. And any questions of me?
No, I appreciate you guys not like harming me or my vehicle or anything, and just doing the ticket, because then I got a record here. I'm clearly everything I've explained.
We're just trying to do our job doing traffic.
And I'm trying to do my job and invoke my rights. I was telling him, driving is commercial. It has nothing to do with private. Nothing whatsoever. The Supreme Court has upheld it in many cases. So I'll just take this to court, and with the record I have here, it
could have been a lot easier for you, but I would have worked with you a lot more than I did.
Hey, you got to stand for something or you fall for anything. Ain't that what the country guys say, right? I mean, and
that's one way to say it.
And the freedom for me to move about without being taxed, and this is a tax, and so are tabs. I mean, it's all a tax. UCC 9-109.102 clearly says that it's private property, and I do not need to register it. It's considered household goods if it's in private and I'm not in commerce and making money on it.
I'd like to see. It'd be interesting to see how that works out. But you have a good day. I want to keep you getting longer.
Yeah, hey, thanks for talking to me, boss.
Hey, absolutely, man. You have a good day.
That's how it's done. I just want y'all to know.
All right, well, I don't agree with having to cite a commercial code. That even citing that doesn't get through to these clowns' head, because they don't see commercial code UCC as their law, even though it's been deemed commercial law in quotes, given the force of law for the consent of the governed, those who signed up to be in a commercial capacity. It's superfluous. It's more than necessary. We have a common law. All courts proceed on the common law. Legitimately, the ones who don't are illegitimate, and I and others are proof that even if it's not easier, because they take me in the car at times, they didn't take this guy. I think part of that is location where you are, what they're used to doing, and how the person comes across. The way I look and sound and dress and the accent and all the rest of it, and the smell of reefer, I'm sure they just why is he free? Is what comes to mind, right? Is what these cops are asking on the side of the road. Why is he free at all? Why is he not locked up in a hole somewhere? But ultimately, if we have to cite commercial code, we're not in touch with, or we're not acknowledging the God of creation and the law of creation and the principles and the values that made America great. We're citing some corporation service providers codification of the law, which is secondary. It's not prima facie, so to speak. So on the face of it, the law of this land is man and woman are meant to be free, and that government is subservient to them, not the other way around. And nobody can interfere with the freedom of expression and movement absent of a direct threat or a contract / delegation of authority. If you don't have that, move along, please. We don't need to go outside of the common law, and doing that is what got us here. Folks keep citing codes and statutes and policies, which are all codifications and secondary interpretations of the original law of this land, which is the foundation of the human experience. It's what brings us in touch with the idea of the unified field and what the experience of God is: one truth, one life, one way. So can we just, I get it, I guess, that you think that you're appealing to something these clowns are going to recognize. Obviously not, because you got a bunch of summons to court anyway. We're going to court. That's the bottom line. Everyone's going to court at some point. You're going to have to do courting. You're going to have to be the king or the queen and call forth your court and the functionaries of the court to do their fucking job. And if you act like a peasant and a slave clown, they're going to treat you like one. It's just the reality here. We don't have to overcomplicate this with 1,000 fucking codes. You've acted like a bunch of bitches and clowns for so long, they're now treating you like them. If you would just act respectfully and honorably in good faith and exercise rights and uphold the law and do it over and over again, they'll treat you like the king that you say you want to be. That is the idea of the republic. Everything is in quotes, because what is a republic if it's not turning all private property into a republican endeavor, or of the public, the commercial side of things, which is essentially what they did. A republic is a hop, skip, and a jump to a democracy, because you created a charter and a corporate status, and you amended constitutions. Right? So, like, to create the document, which will then be amended, which all is based on some kind of administration or organization that we call government, is always going to turn into democracy, collectivism, communism, socialista, fascista, corporatista, and all the rest of the isms, because the root is Satanism. The idea that somehow, some way, if we get all these men together and we put them in a cute little costume to act some stuff out, somehow, some way, life is going to get better. That is the core of Luciferianism and Satanism. It never fucking works. It always goes the same way. And they can't figure out how to just stop doing it. But what are we going to do, Polly boy, if people cause loss, injury, and harm? Well, from the beginning of time, in the middle of nowhere, people do that. And they get dealt with the same way, or less, more or less, that your actors from the state of corporations in their little costumes do the same thing. What's the fetishism here? I'm wondering on both sides. What they really hacked the slave's brain? Like the may as well be aliens that took over and hacked the slaves of this planet's brain to make them think that when you get a costume and a title, it changes the reality of everything. Like, it doesn't. It just creates an alternative artificial reality that overlays on the NI, the natural reality intelligence, that is a detraction, a delusion, a denial of what is. It's literal mental, emotional, spiritual illness. It's the definition of Babylon. So if we could just stop with the damn titles, if we could stop with the costuming and the acting out, we could actually govern ourselves and be responsible and accountable to co-create and govern with each other. Isn't that fucking difficult and complicated? I don't need to get someone with a cute costume and training to say someone's on the block right now causing loss, injury, and harm, or stealing. How do we rectify this? Somehow, some way, the engines, the tribal folks, and all the rest of them have figured out how to do counsel, have figured out how to do fellowship, have figured out how to put in a good word or a bad word to get shit done or not. I know, this is fucking crazy, right? Crazy stuff. Like, you go out in the middle of any land. It doesn't have to be Pakistan or Afghanistan or any other kind of stan. You can go out in the middle of the desert and there's going to be communities of folks out there. We all know not to lie, cheat, and steal. We all know if you do any of the aberrant behavior and you get caught, there's fucking consequences, especially if you cause loss, injury, and harm to somebody or you don't pay your debts. Common fucking sense. We just, the we's, right? We don't know how to live like that. How would everything work, Paulie boy? We don't have officiation and formality. How's it all going to work? It works if you work it. It works because it makes fucking sense. Works because everyone plays their fucking position. It works when everyone does what's true and what's right. If everyone doesn't attempt to do what's true and what's right and uphold a moral standard, it doesn't matter how many titles and costumes you get because you'll have nothing but corruption. Hello. One comes before the other. The fetishism is real. There's no doubt about it. This planet is known for one thing and one thing only that bleeds into everything. It's just fetishism. Folks just love to attach to ideas, hallucinations, and brands and titles and descriptors. What they don't like, life on life's terms. Accountability, responsibility. Got it. It's so simple, it's confusing. I know. You go, what did he just say? He just said we're not going to have titles and costumes, and somehow, some way, good people and great people are going to rise to prominent positions of respect in the community, and by that and fellowship and leadership will be order. Yeah. Well, what's the alternative, Paulie boy? What we have, the opposite, where all the psychopathic, sociopathic, cowardly scum have risen to the top because you gave them titles and costumes and official formality to do it and get it. Usually in life, you have to be known for something to get that. Paulie boy's doing his egotism and narcissism. Well, follow me here for a second. Paulie boy might be elected, even if it's a 5-person community, to be like a leader in that community. Somebody who people respect and they go to talk to and helps to make certain decisions about what we're going to do because of certain things he's done and been. Crazy idea, right? Like Lou Bass. Like, I don't go to Lou Bass for dietary advice because he's a fat pig. But he builds himself some hovels and shacks from time to time. He's a hell of a fucking slumlord over there. So because he builds, and I've seen finished buildings and products from him, he's a leader in the community when it comes to making decisions on building shit. What I don't do is consult some guy who just put on a circus costume who called himself builder of all builders. You see, they still haven't figured out, by the way, don't tell them why I do God of all media here, because I'm playing off and mocking the idea of what the culture does. It's object and personified fetishism, right? People, places, and things, titles, and hallucinations. So it's like, we look around and go, who's really good or great at these certain things? That guy deserves some value and power and respect when it comes to making decisions and co-creating. Pretty simple fucking stuff, huh? Like, Carl Lentz didn't have to get a title and a cute little costume for me. And I'm somebody who, they'll tell you, I don't respect anyone. Never respected anyone. You've never seen it happen. It's never happened once. That day I did. Because when it comes to legal and lawful, and from what I understand, getting results and knowing what they're talking about and applying it and not being a fucking coward, he's that. Just like I'm that. So there's mutual respect. So then we, based on the people, some people at some time get chosen directly or indirectly to be leaders. These are all words that describe meaning. These aren't titles. Watch it, right? Because of what we do and what we create and the results we get chosen by the people to be in a position of power. That doesn't mean we get to do whatever we want. Quite the opposite. It means we have to do what's necessary for ourselves and each other, or we get reprimanded by ourselves or each other, right? We get in ill repute. So they can't figure out, the average worldly slave can't figure out true power and value systems and inherent hierarchical value and power systems, right? Versus false power and value systems that are inversely hierarchic, where the scum rises to the top because you all didn't want to be judgmental and discerning, right? Stop being judgmental and discerning, Paulie boy. Well, we have to know who's who and what's what, so we know who's fit for certain positions and who's going to have to take a cue from someone else so we can get the job done, so we can have a functional fucking experience here. It's fucking wild shit what I'm talking about right now. You wouldn't believe it. It's like, you're not going to go to Paulie Boy to figure out how to fuck the best. Probably not Carl Lentz either, although he did rant for a good 8 or 10 hours straight, and he's in his 60s, so he might be very virile. Might have good dick for hours. Don't tell him I said that. He's going to think he's liable to think that I'm a light in the loafers. I want Uncle Carl to think bad about me, you know? So it's like, I'm going to go to the black porn star for who's going to fuck the best. And I'm going to go to Paulie Boy or Carl for like some experience with the law. And I'm going to go to Lou Bass, the dirt pig, for some experience in leadership when it comes to building a house which you're going to destroy your family in, because he knows a lot about that. How do you build a house and destroy your family in it? You go to Lou. See? It's just, we're breaking ground here. Who do you not go to? The guy who went to school for 6 weeks or 6 months, who got a title and a little plastic badge and a cute little costume, who thinks that they're going to overwrite the laws of creation. That's who you don't go to. Are we learning here? Someone out there is learning. I can feel it right now. Someone out there today is learning. They're realizing more about slavery. They're realizing more about delusion and denial. They're realizing more about Babylon. They're realizing more about themselves. They're realizing more about fetishism and hallucination and disintegration and disempowerment. All its various forms. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. What do I got here? I got some action over here. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I want to thank Travis and Julian Barbary from the other day. These are good white people. Okay. Only way I know how to say it. Like John. Good white man. He's never given me anything, so how good could he really be? Am I right? Of course I'm right. Well, he's given me his love. Let me not say that. See, there I go again. Diminishing all that people have given me because they didn't give me money, non-money. They didn't feed me. If I'm not obese enough, they gave me their love. I should appreciate that. Oh, well, there's always next time. We'll try again next time. Charges dismissed, no driver's license, registration, right to travel, case study. But this isn't a win, because when you get dismissals at court, it's not a win, according to RD. And that's how do you know scum if you can't look at them and tell just by looking at them, which I and others can here. If you can't tell just by looking at them, like almost immediately, just listen for the key words and terms, right? Dismissal's not a win. Okay. And why is the name in all caps? Because it's easier to read. Okay. Gotcha. Totally not deceiving, smirking, duping, delighting, deceiving themselves first and foremost, if not everyone else. Doing the little smug smirk on everyone, like they know a secret no one else knows, but they're going to hold to it because it's profitable for them. Get some worldly power. That smirk. A lot of folks on this on this. See, I do the same kind of smirk, but for different reasons. Because I see or know something about self and other selves here that the rest of you don't want to admit to yourselves. It's true about you and them. That's why, see, I do my smirk, right? It's the same smirk, completely different reasons. And I'm always real about that from inside out. Yeah, let's go to this. I want to see this because I didn't see it yet. I don't watch most of the stuff. We watch it here together. And then I think I'm going to wrap up. I'm feeling rather complete. Feeling somewhat better than I have been. I'm having faith that I'll be healing as time goes on. Maybe compulsive conformity needs its own world. Well, that's why we're going to Mars, dummy. I gotta tell these fucking people everything. So underpaid here. Constantly saving souls and brightening up these dullards. Like, hello, Elon, two daddies, Donnie, Elon. Have you seen Slave Link? No, you're too poor to afford it because it's like $300 a month. I have given up living in a home forever so I can afford the Starlink. So I'm not broke like you. And on the back of the Starlink, it says, we're going to Mars. Right on the little Ethernet port, it actually says, we're going to Mars. Touch there. So it's already in the works. Why are you trying to act like you're the big brained daddy who's intelligent here? We got people for that. And quite frankly, you're not it. So, like, know your role. Just kind of sit back and let it unfold. You know, for the folks who need compulsive conformity, Elon's setting that up on Mars. Then they're going to leave this realm to the rest of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot-like gorilla, troglodyte creatures like myself. Tear it up, or maybe vice versa. They're going to create Mars and they're going to ship us all there to be free for the first time ever with really nothing to do except each other. It's going to be a fuck fest. Let's just say it like that. I don't know. I haven't got that download yet. I'm waiting patiently, just like you should be, for them to give me the answers on what I'm going to be doing next. Well, will we be taking over Earth Inc., the white and other colored gorillas, so to speak, or do we get the leavings of Mars? Because Elon's going to ship us there. We haven't got to that point yet, but it's already happening. We're on the way, at least. One place for folks who want uniformity and nonconformity, and for folks who want to live in constant chaos and disorder, but be conformed while doing it. We want constant cosmic chaos and disorder, but we want conformity while doing it. We'll get one or the other going. So I'm hopeful for that. That's feeling good to me. I'll take either or, at this point. Like, no policy and code Mars versus policy and code run Earth. I guess I'm going with Mars. Let's go charges this. Never happened, by the way. Doesn't happen, never happens. Guy's a SovCit. He's dumb. Got lucky.
And then were you able to cure your license issue, or is there a hold?
For the record, my name is Ryan Thor. I'm the living man. I am not the entity known as Ryan Michael Thor, just to clear that. I am here on special appearance under threat, duress, and coercion to challenge subject matter jurisdiction and also personal jurisdiction as well. I filed my paperwork for you on Friday, and the clerk illegally denied it. I went again this morning and filed my paperwork again for you. The clerk again illegally denied it, even though I gave her a notice telling her it's a felony for her not to accept my paperwork. And actually, it's in law, it's considered filed when I gave it to her. Okay. So there.
What do you want to do today, sir?
Well, Your Honor, I mean, I'm going to have to ask a few questions first, which first of all is I need to understand the nature and the cause of the charges against me, as well as I need to know, is this a civil jurisdiction or criminal jurisdiction?
Okay, it's criminal jurisdiction.
Criminal.
It's traffic infraction court, so no possibility of going to jail on any of this. You've settled one of your counts. You just approved a correction on August 26, 2022, or Ryan Michael Thor did. If you're saying, are you saying that's not you?
Ryan Thor is the living man. Ryan Michael Thor is the defendant in error. It's the artificial person. So thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of the court show that the action against me is criminal. And now I have another question, because the Constitution grants us two different criminal jurisdictions, okay? One criminal jurisdiction is under the common law, and the other is under the criminal jurisdiction of admiralty or military tribunal venue from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution.
I got to do some other cases, and then I'll take the time to do all this with you.
Well, I need to know which of these two jurisdictions that you intend to try me. It's very important because they're done different ways. The rules of civil procedure are very different in a criminal jurisdiction, obviously for common law, and a military.
Civilly, no one's asking you, no. So we just need to show, were you able to cure your license with the DMV, or you don't know?
Your Honor, I need to get these other questions answered. I need to know what the jurisdiction is, and I need to know also who the injured party is. The nature and cause of this. I need to know who the injured party is.
Okay.
I need to know who's bringing the claim.
How about, okay, the state is, so here's the deal. Do you want to have a trial date? I can give you many trial different dates, and you come in and you can ask all the questions, and they have to prove the charges against you. So
Thank you, Your Honor, but I don't think you'd be violating your oath of office by doing your duty under the Constitution. Okay?
Mr. Thor, I'm going to have to come back to your case because I have all these other cases, and I'll take all the time in the world to do it, because you Adam today?
See, you already know that you got her. This is exactly like, when you interact with the administrator, you already know you got him at some point because of her tone and her energy and the fact that she's trying to put you off till later and she's deferring to you on some level. And this is exactly how her tone and tenor and cadence is exactly the last interaction style that I had with the female administrator of that last court where the case is dismissed. So we're going to see if the title is dismissal. When I guess I'm the fool who keeps asking, when is the mainstream or the average tard going to concede that we know something and that we're getting results? And it's not just because they don't want to tie up the court system. They're getting paid to be there. They're not doing anybody any favors. And if they thought that we were just defying the rule of law and the law of the land, they'd be giving us all what for? You wouldn't see me or others again. So they know we're onto them. They know what the game is. They know the dual jurisdiction. They know the contracts and all the rest of it and how it all works. And when you activate them on a certain level and they know you know what you're talking about and you show that and you stand on that with a certain kind of tone and tenor and cadence, there's nowhere for them to go. They're either going to try to steamroll you to test you on what you do or do not know, what you're prepared to comply with and not, or they're going to give you your way / the way. So let's continue with it. I'm just pointing out that a lot of these interactions, you got to be in the pocket in the moment, and you got to be able to reasonably read the room and yourself and the other like instantly and be able to tell by that energy and tonality where you are, and this last one, I dropped the ball because I was on the offensive side and they still do the same thing. They use statute, policy, and code and rules of procedure to try to get jurisdiction over all the moving parties. So then they can then use statute, policy, and code and technicalities to have me and my case thrown out because we didn't follow technical rules of their statutory procedures. So that's on the offensive side as well, where if I get the tape, if I wind up getting it and showing it, which I probably should, even though I'm not sort of excited by it, you got to learn to lose to learn how to win. So half of me was establishing I was king of that court. Half of me was letting the administrator sort of run the procedure and the proceeding because I have no experience really to draw on how to move the procedure. So there was certain points where he was forced to concede either directly or indirectly, and certain points where I let him achieve jurisdiction. He even went back and made a ruling, came back and said, it's my opinion that I have jurisdiction over all the parties involved in this case, and therefore I'm ruling the case to be dismissed. So even on the offensive side, You have to run court. You have to hold court. You have to be essentially king of that court, and they have to believe it. And if you concede ground to them and you confer jurisdiction and you believe on some level that they're going to run the proceeding, well, they are. And they're going to run it right off the sideline to where you're not going to have no traction. So now I know, now I learn, now next time it's no quarter, right? Like if I'm going to go back in there and sue him again, this is my court. I'm going to move it and run it. I'm the moving party here. You are just a functionary of the court, which I did say to him. I probably should get it just so we can go over it and I can critique myself. I was having a lot of pain. We were in the middle of dealing with Carl, and I was sort of like conflicted, and my head was not in the game. There were certain points where I was backing him down and achieving control over the court and not giving him jurisdiction. There were moments where I was just like, well, you know what? We're on the plaintiff or claimant side. I could just let him, because it would probably be good if I bring a complaint or a claim and like do what they all do, where I go, Your Honor, and this and that. I kept calling him by his name. He didn't like that. He was getting annoyed. So it'd be good if I just suck up and suck dick metaphorically like they do and go, Your Honor, and this is this and civil procedure and see what happens. And then do one where I don't give him any quarter. I move the whole thing. I don't let anyone in that court presume to have any authority. Ultimately, the magistrate is independent from the tribunal. So bring in the jury. They're going to decide. You're just here to administrate to a degree with the moving party, which is myself. But they don't want to do that. They want to bring in all the lawyers, let them talk for the respondents, right? Never have to see the respondents, never have to answer, use statute, policy, and code and rules of procedure to have me and others dismissed so that we never can bring a claim where they're actually held liable. They want to keep themselves in a corporate capacity, and they want to drag me in as well. So I had to learn, this is my first time, that they're going to do it on both sides. They're going to play that game on both sides, and you really got to sort of put it down and move the court. If not, or maybe you don't. Maybe you got to go the other way and not piss everyone off, not challenge it, call them Your Honor, concede jurisdiction, and then play by their rules to get some kind of a compensation. More importantly, to me, in my mind, is the quote unquote defensive side. If we can keep them off our back and get the dismissals going like this, one after the other, and they can't put anybody in a box or charge anyone anymore, that's decent. That's pretty damn good. And then the next layer is obviously getting compensation when they do interfere with your property / rights. So it's one stage at a time, and the more you do it, the more you learn. You got to learn how to lose, learn how to win, and that's pretty much where I'm at recently.
Your Honor, I just motioned for dismissal because if this is a criminal jurisdiction, as you're claiming, I need to see a verified complaint and I need from the injured party, and I have to have an opportunity to face my accuser, as you mentioned at the beginning of this entire hearing. So who is the injured party? That's the question. Who's the injured party? Why am I here? I don't understand why I'm here.
You paid $440.32.
Yes, that's what just paid up to be.
All right. All right, so what else? So he just has to count 1 and count 2, and he showed the proof of claim.
Correct.
All right, sir, I'm going to just exercise my discretion. I'm going to dismiss count 1 and dismiss count 2 and just order the fees that you've already paid to cover court costs. Okay?
So
no charges are pending against you. They've been dismissed. Interest of justice.
So I'm letting the record show that the defendant, Ryan Michael Thor, with case CMZ 606-406, all charges are dismissed. Is that correct?
And whatever fees were paid are going towards court costs, okay?
Those fees are bail, and they should be returned after dismissal.
Okay. You know what? I don't have a problem with returning your fees. I don't.
Thank you.
All right. Wait. All right. Have a good day, Mr. Thor.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, decent outcome, but still, not what I do or would want to do. I'm not never again going to say what I'll never do, but we're not bonding out, bailing out over here. That defeats the purpose. If I got to give you cash to get you to uphold the law and for me to exercise rights, I'm already bitched up. So then that's not pride and ego either. And again, I'm not saying if it got crazy and they took me and wouldn't let me go indefinitely and said, hey, give us X amount, we'll let you out a week at court. I don't know. We'd have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But I can't see. It's kind of like don't negotiate with terrorists. You already kidnapped me. You already violated the law of the land. And now you want me to pay you to get access to the functions of the court that are determined automatic for me as a man on the land? No, we're already at that point. It's like, hey, kill me or keep me in the box. You can't keep me forever, you know. But to pay you to get what's guaranteed me you're already proving that this is corrupt. This is bad faith. This is dishonorable. Anybody gets arrested, they're entitled to see a magistrate, especially upon request or requirement immediately. Definitely within 2-3 days, you know. So if you want to keep people around, which they do all the time for months and weeks, and claim, well, we'll let you get out, and then maybe you could see administrator if you give us bail or bond. We're behind the 8 ball at that point. Folks got to see what this is. This is activism. You are chosen by God to do what this is, to get it on record, to stop this from continuing in the future, because if not, all is lost. It's like a movie, right? So this isn't about your comfort. This isn't about you feeling good. This isn't about you getting what you want in the moment. This is about doing what needs to be done and surrendering the rest. Imagine them taking like the main character, what they say, Paulie Boy has main character syndrome. Well, what am I supposed to have? Extra? Because I had extra character syndrome most of my life. Didn't really feel too good, you know, acting like a coward and a slave. So could you imagine one of the main characters in Braveheart or Patriot or one of those movies, Gladiator, being taken to a box and him saying, I'll give you $450 if you let me out? Or Commodus or whoever, right? Coming to that being, I'll let you out if you give me the $450. No. Right? Could you imagine him going to Corleone, Mo Green, going to Corleone in Vegas when he's running everything, he's setting everything up? He is the mob, you know? Could you imagine Mo Green going to Corleone like they did, you know, the senator? You just give us the $450, we'll allow Corleone Industries to do. You don't allow me to do anything. This is what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. My offer to you is this: nothing. That's what the man said. So maybe I just grew up on too many classic movies. That was most of our upbringing, 80s and 90s, right? I wasn't a big movie guy, but I've studied the culture, I guess you could say. And growing up, we had access to these movies, and we probably saw them all at least one time. And in certain of these movies is the idea of like good faith, honor, corruption, sedition, you know, traitorous, tyranny, all these different ideas, trust. So, yeah, you've already violated the trust. You've already acted in dishonor. You've already attempted to try to use your position, which is a service position, to tell a man what he's going to do and not do. Why you're doing that is astounding to me, what you must think and believe about yourself. But that's not how this is going to go. And they'll say, well, that's pride and ego. No, that's called having a standard. Used to be called American standard. Right? We don't negotiate with terrorists. We're not selling out. We're not buying out. This is about what's true and what's right. If you don't want to uphold that, well, go you and your cronies and your clowns and get together and figure out what dance you're going to do to try to legitimize this, because it ain't going to change the outcome. What, are you going to get bond and bail to go back to your girlfriend and your job? Just live day in and day out. It's another conjugation of the Braveheart speech. You're going to go back to your mediocre, lukewarm, mundane life and just go through the motions and never do or be or have here, never actualize and realize. What fun is that? What kind of life is that? Where's the meaning and purpose in that? You know, I'm not saying abandon all reason, responsibility, and accountability, but in a way, I guess at times I kind of am saying that there's a priority here. If you ain't got the law of the land upheld and you ain't free and your rights are not recognized and man and woman is not recognized, what difference does it make what house and family and all the rest of it you got? It's all owned, including your body, by this state of and this corporation. De facto, in fact. Doesn't matter what everyone thinks and feels about it. That's what the fuck is happening all day, every day, till you put a stop to it. I wouldn't want it to be me at this point. Your thoughts, Timmy? Timmy, the Jew Bar's co-host hour. You have a bloodstained yarmulke back there? For effect, if nothing else, to command respect. I can't hear you if you're talking. Oh, Timmy. Yeah, folks are going to have to get an outlaw mindset and heart set for God and the truth, as silly as that sounds. An outlaw for the world and the worldly system is an in-law for God, the common law of this land. There's the rule of law, and then there's the legal society. You almost have to violate the legal society in order to uphold the rule of law. This is why the deceiver is so amazing as an archetype of experience here. You almost have to violate legal code in order to be lawful. And if you fail to be lawful and understand the law, you will get caught up in a legal society and their codes. You'll reject yourself and your future and your progeny and God to be in and of the world. This is the same dynamic that the Christ of being was dealing with in Scripture. I would bet anything on it. Having to turn away from the ways of the world and its societies to go with God and the law and conscience and the foundations of the law of any land. Go ahead, Timmy. Come on back up if you want to have some moments. I'll give you your way. I'm going to wrap up. Go ahead, Timmy the Jew. If you got a bloodstained yarmulke, don it too, because I want to really let these slaves know where they're at.
Greetings. Hello. Mazal, how are you? I gotta
How are you, sir?
That's condition here. Yeah, I just came up to say, I think there was just a few of the elements of court or elements of a claim that you forgot. The rules of court. I think they were just confused on what the rules of your court were. That's all. That's all my thoughts here.
Oh, that's it. I was going to give you a moment. You don't want a moment?
I'll take a moment. I just, I studied some claims. Yeah, I studied some claims, and, they include the rules of court, telling them how the fuck it's going to go. I, a man, Julia Bleberg will present to press a claim of trespass under oath at the Jew court on XYZ date at the county court of Israel or whatever, right? And then there's some other shit here. This court is to be private. This court will only accept claims with facts and evidence. This court will not accept any legal arguments, codes, acts, or statutes. I require every man and woman summoned to give oath, to testify to what is true under penalty of perjury, blah, blah, blah. I require a court of record. I think if these were said, it might be a little bit different, Because otherwise, they're just presuming, right? Hey, what kind of court is this? This guy didn't fucking say. It's just a court of Papua New Guinea, legal codes.
Well, I did, but I did kind of half-ass it because I've been having a lot of issues. My head hasn't been in the game. I'm not making excuses. I'm just being real about it. I kind of half-assed it. I didn't do as much as I could, and I kind of let her take the lead. So, but yeah, I did specify trust, equity, and faith. But continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's got to be explicit and defined, right? But I guess they could say, what does that mean? But yeah, I mean, maybe that was some missing elements, and then just a court order, like a direct, hey, this is exactly what I want. But I remember you were saying, you're kind of going with the flow with it. So, but yeah, man, I mean, I feel you. I hear what you're saying. Yes, all right. So, what's going on here? Let's see. There's questions and comments, concern. Oy vey, he says down there. This guy, the old Pip says Israel is America. I don't know. The state of everything is just the state of Rome, according to some folks. All right, people, shalom. Shalom, all right. Yeah, very good. So what the fuck is going on here? I want a hat that doubles as a miso bowl. I mean, just make it. Don't you know how to make that? You're, big man in the woods, freedom grower, fucking guitar playing fuck. All right. What else is going on here? What else is going on here? All right. Oh, you know what? I was wondering. What do you folks think down there in the chat? Do you think it would be entertaining at all for I know we get the Theo, the slaves. That's always interesting, right? That in real life stuff. Would you guys think it'd be interesting if to hear the sheriffs? Because I think it'd be interesting. It's what the fuck? I want to scold some sheriffs, right? It's what if we're just calling, and I say we, I mean I. If I'm calling these sheriffs, just blasting all the phone numbers, right, of all the sheriffs, and just asking, what are you doing? What is this? What's going on in your neighborhood? What do you think of XYZ codes and the governor and all this shit? What are you doing? Why do you keep enforcing traffic code? Why do you keep enforcing this code? Why do you keep enforcing that code? What are you doing? You have an oath to what? I don't know. Would you guys think that'd be interesting? I think it'd be boring as a live stream, but I guess edited later, editing out the part where, I don't know, these people, don't they have to answer their phones? These public serve ants? I feel like they would answer. I guess their assistants would answer. What do you guys think? What do you chattel folks think? Walter Limestone Banks says, no shit, get on it. Verily thinks it'd be quality. Freedom grower. What do you mean? You don't think, if I say I'm recording this, I mean, most of the states are one party consent anyway, in their codes, right? Good luck getting them on record. Oh, I forgot I have the power. I don't think that would be boring. If you could get them on the call, that'd be great. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I'm thinking live streaming, it could be boring. There's pockets of dead air, but I could just, talk to the audience. And then when there's calls, just kind of have fun with it. But then after it kind of cut out, just cut, do a super cut. We got a big budget.
You're not going to do it. You'd have done it right now. You won't do it.
Do what? Call a sheriff? Why not?
Yeah, you're just you keep this. You've been doing this now a lot. What if I do this? What if I do? You haven't done anything yet. You're doing nothing. I'm going to make you a sheriff so you start doing something. Since you want to keep asking what sheriffs are doing more than
Basically,
you.
I am.
You're not pushing slavery on anyone.
Debatable.
You're not pimping and you're not hoeing. What are you doing?
It's kind of neutral, right? It's fucking neutral, slay. Get in the game. Do something. We're a platoon now. I don't know what the fuck that means. Doesn't matter. All you guys with those terrible usernames, you guys are just so lukewarm. Like Paul saying, I am. It pays the bills and people haven't said no. That's what they're going to say. I don't know. It is a loop, right? We're just looping constantly. Just like that. Yeah, but yo, Mike, isn't it boring as fuck? All these fucking channels, they don't have any understanding. They're I just want to audit more. And it's just dude, can you fuckers get some kind of holistic understanding of fucking anything?
All right, we'll call him. You're my new investigator. You're head of the crew. Yeah, you're head of the crew.
All right.
Crew.
Chattel slaves. Start scouring. Why? I don't even need you guys anymore. I just asked my chat GPT slave.
And now you want to ask the chattel slaves to do shit for you? Come on, bro. Where do you think you're at here right now? I can't get these motherfuckers to do anything.
That's true. Okay, I'll say
you're the damn. Yeah, don't come up here with the bloodstained yarmulke if you're not going to really take fucking charge and take the lead, man.
California Sheriff Office phone numbers. Calling my AI slave. All right, while the slave is going to get the numbers, let's look at the rest of these chattel comments. Dick Grower says, yes, they have an assistant answer. Even if you go down in person, they will send out deputies and attempt to ID you. What? Well, I mean, the deputies should also have a fucking opinion. Oh, you're saying they don't have to reply. I get that on some level. All right, let's just do some of these calls. Hey, live calling with Timmy the Jew. If I do my Jew voice, actually, who does prank phone calls in a Jewish voice? I've never heard that before. So I don't think it's not like hello, sir. Like that's too obvious. I'm not in Canada anyway. All right, we got 10 phone over here. Alameda, Dick, you're kind of why you gotta ruin it, Dick? You fucking dick. Men and women need to ask poster event more questions. I feel like in a public office, they have to. Don't they have to reply on some level? I feel like they have to reply. It's like they have elevated duties and responsibilities. That's what the office means. They're an office, sir. That's what the fucking word means. Office, sir. They're a sir. They have a fucking title.
Yeah, but you're like, but you got to be real. Don't do a character. Just say you're president of Make America Great Again, Inc.
All right, Alameda County. There you go. Because it's still daylight. 68.7. All right, let's see what we got here. Speaker. MAGA. Okay, MAGA Inc. Okay, we'll call it. Fucking hold me. My yarmulke flew off. Hang on. What the fuck is this? Do they need to? They have like millions of dollars in their fucking budgets. They can't hire a couple of Filipinos to answer the fucking phone. What the fuck is this? This is fucking. So this is the point. This is like what is this stream? I guess me going like, oh, why aren't they answering? I guess funny. It's funny to me. Maybe an email. Yeah, I mean, I could just do cold email campaign, just blast them, blast everyone. But like, they're not gonna want to get on the call though, right? Red. It's fake, bro. Get the fuck. I know. This is the only work I can do with my mouth. I can't do manual labor. I just need to sit in this chair, do calls. Share it. I mean, get this man a buy. Tim's going to sell. They do need it. How's it possible that this is like million-person county is like doesn't answer the phone? What a surprise! Hello. 1 minute and 30 seconds. I mean, I can't just sit. What am I supposed to just sit here forever? I mean, I must be part Jewish because like when I just start complaining, I just all right. Butte County or Butte County. Can somebody get this fucking guy get this fucking thing in here? All right, Butte County. Oh. All right, let's see.
You have reached the Butte County Sheriff's Office. For a life-threatening emergency or a crime in progress, hang up and dial 911. All other callers, please listen to the following options.
Oh my God.
To speak with a deputy, press 1. To speak with a jail or SWAT, press 2. To speak to the records division regarding live scans, fingerprinting, concealed weapons permits, or registration, press 3. To obtain a copy of an incident report, a crime report, or a vehicle report.
The deputies are supposed to know what the fucking sheriff does. So.
Sheriff's Office.
Hello. This is Timmy with Make America Great Again, Inc. I just had a quick question for you guys, if that's okay. So you're a deputy with the Butte County Sheriff's Office, right?
You're talking to our dispatch center right now.
Okay. Is there any way to speak directly to a deputy or the sheriff?
I would have to take your information and have a deputy call you. What are you calling to report?
I'm not calling to report anything. I just wanted to ask them a question as a member like just a being that's going to be around the area.
Okay, so which end of the county are you going to be in?
I don't know specifics. I just know I'm going to be potentially traveling through that area.
Okay, because we have deputies in different areas of the county, so I'm just trying to figure out who to assign the call to.
Okay, fair enough.
County you'll be traveling through?
Yeah, I don't know for sure. It's more of a, how do people ever, like, is there a way to schedule an appointment like with the sheriff, like just to have a conversation with them? Like, how does that usually work from your perspective?
Well, right now, so we handle calls for service, so I can have a deputy call and talk to you. I'm just trying to figure out what end of the county that the call is regarding, so I know who to assign it to.
But just the sheriff himself, like the person.
Okay. Well, I can put you through to the sheriff's assistant. She'll be back in on Monday, and she can talk to you when she's back in the office.
Oh yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday. Okay.
You want to talk to the sheriff, or you want to talk to a deputy sheriff?
Well, I mean, if the sheriff would ask be available for a question, I mean, that would be best. But yeah.
Yeah, I can put you through to his assistant. It's a different location than I'm at. So
Okay.
I don't believe she's in the office anymore today, but I'd have to transfer you to the building that they work out of.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, hold on just a moment.
Hey, mate. This is progress. Progress, everyone. But it's just gonna go to answering machine.
Hold on. It seems we just got a video upload of that elected sheriff.
Yeah, dude who's been doing this for 32 years. Full-time professional. Rated by One Family Magazine, #1 clown, 9 straight years.
Yeah, that was the video link. Man, you guys are good. You got that video feed in pretty quickly. Let's see. And what are they not doing at work at 3 p.m.? what is that? It's fucking middle of the day. They're not in anymore. She's at the beach. She's sucking Jameel's cock. Oops, sorry. Am I still on? Oh yeah. Okay, it hung up. All right, this isn't going as well as I thought. I guess if I just keep calling them, they'll just be like, "What do you want?" It's going to be very boring, this process. This process is cool. Let's see. What most men and women need to do? Questions. How do the men and women that are there to service get more studies? Yeah, well, I mean, if I hire Tadalaw, if I hire you as my pool boy tomorrow, a month from now, you get to decide who goes in the pool, when, what time, what chemicals you put in. I lost all my ability to tell you what to do, and you own the pool now, right? So that's pretty much how it works. And if I don't claim ownership of the pool anymore, I mean, it's your pool. So who's really, is anybody really doing wrong? Who's really doing wrong anywhere? Except the folks that are, yes, Billy G, please give me more data. Thank you. Whose fault is that? JP Passage, I don't know who that is. You should do the summer and winter holiday. I don't know. Policeman's Guild. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're saying. Abort mission. Yeah, what you think? I mean, I don't know. I just keep calling, honestly, but it could be kind of boring. But I did have that Wyoming interaction. That was kind of interesting. But again, it's just like the outcome was he didn't. The deputy secretary of state from Wyoming had a 30-minute conversation with him, and he was just like, "I don't know anything about what you're talking about. I'm not from here. I'm from New York or something." So that wasn't. And then it's just like, then what? It's just like, then what? Like, why do I have to get the permission from Wyoming? You guys claim you own all the water, and I gotta ask you for permission to like collect this water in a pond. Can I have a permit to collect this water? It's yours. And he's like, I don't know why you have to do that. Anyway, I don't know. I think I like the it'd be more effective maybe to send many emails to all these folks, kind of bait them into something, maybe some bait. What do you think about that? What could they possibly want to talk to anybody for? What do you guys think? Some bait? I mean, they probably deal with all kinds of bullshit constantly, though. I don't know, man. These motherfuckers are just, what are they doing, right? What do these motherfuckers constantly do? Things would be a great segment. Good job, Timmy, says Daniel. These more leaders on the West Post shows. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I ultimately don't really care though, because like I really don't give a fuck what they're doing because it's not my area. But the whole point is like I was gonna say, oh, I'm traveling through your area and wanting to know what your deal is with. Actually, this isn't even that interesting. I like different ones. Let's see. Like, I want to do something that actually is interesting for me, honestly. All right, let's switch gears for a second. If Paul still enjoys this on some level, 10 sheriffs in Montana phone numbers. Call. Yeah, I hate California. I don't want to do this. They're upholding the people's rights to travel in the land. Yeah, basically what I was going to ask. I generally want to know like what these people's opinions are. Even like calling, I mean, judges, they won't just not answer. I guess they. I don't know. What do you guys think about like that? Do you think? I guess this is the whole 1874. There's no de jure anymore, or is there? Is it still there anymore? What are the oaths that these people are following? Are they following an oath to something of some de jure constitution? If they are, presuming that they are, do they have to? They do have to have an ability for redress of grievances. So on some level, they have to maintain communication with the fucking people that are their bosses. Like those are the actual people that are their bosses. Like when the people go, when you see all these videos and go, you're my public servants, like the police, they're not. I don't really think they are. And again, even they may be in dual jurisdiction, right? Corporate capacity, but then again, it's what does that even mean, dual jurisdiction? Like, oh, they're in the corporate capacity, but then they're also in their capacity as a man. Again, so I'm just in my capacity as a man. So like, again, they don't have extra policing power. Doesn't make any sense. Yes, if they still practice at the range with no hesitation targets. I don't know what that means. Baseline question. With whatever you present with, is it public or private? The hummus. I learned that even we live in a world that made victimhood the most valuable currency only by taking full responsibility. Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, I'm not even going to say we. It's my responsibility to whatever I want to see forth is to go and like actually promote that and live it and be it. So, there's nobody else to be the de jure government. These offices, they don't really matter. Yeah, that's a good one, Walter. All right, let's try some other ones here. All right, so this is more interesting. Like I'm gonna do Montana, and this is actually something I'm trying to get done anyway. So maybe it'll be interesting. We're gonna call some Montana sheriffs. Okay, they're not gonna answer.
You have reached the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office. If this is a true emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please listen carefully to the following options as they have changed. For non-emergency calls requiring a deputy response, please press 1. For animal control, abandoned vehicles, or code compliance, please press 2.
Okay, this is good. Let's try number 2. I'm going to ask them about my hippo.
Record.
Hi, is this animal control?
No. Is there something happening right now?
It's not an no. I'm asking for informational purposes. But yeah, your IVR is messed up. It said for animal control press 2, and I pressed 2. So
yeah, I wish we had control over our own phone screen.
Okay.
Let me transfer you over to communications. Hang on the line.
Thank you so much. You guys are like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm interested why they think they can control the animal. I have a problem with fucking everything. So, hi, is this? Do you guys deal with animal control?
We do. I dispatch for them.
Oh, cool. Like if I have a question about like which animal and like how you guys interpret the code, would you be the person that I'm supposed to talk to, or somebody else?
What do you mean? Like, where? I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear you.
Oh, like I'm asking like I'm attempting to bring over an animal that I'm not sure is like gonna be a problem in your guys' eyes. So I'm wondering, like, are you the person I'm supposed to talk to, or I'm just trying to get clarification on like which animals you guys are gonna harass me about or not.
Oh, okay. Well, what animal are you bringing over?
Yeah, well, I'm actually not sure. I'm just trying to see like what the limits of like what you guys are like, because I've seen the code and it's like kind of vague. Like, it kind of explains, but like not really.
In terms of like what animal you can have here, or like how many of those animals you can have?
Yeah, like if I want to have like 20 alligators, like what basis are you guys going off of that? Like, hey, you can't have 20 alligators.
Oh, let me ask real quick.
Can you guys even hear her anymore? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, pandas. I'm on hold. See, this is the problem with this conversation. Is going to be like, I'm going to be like, well, what do you mean by person in your code, saying that your fucking codes are applicable to? She's like, she's going to be like, what are you talking about? And then it's like, it's going to have to go to court. Like everything's going to have to go to court. Like every fucking problem, I feel like. I want to have 20 alligators. I want to have 20 AK-47s. I want to smoke 20 blunts in the sheriff's face. You know, fucking endless, right? I want 20 hippos. I got to go to court for fucking everything. I mean, I'm actually thinking about that like specifically, but yeah, all generally, I'm trying the limits and why there's even codes in the first place.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna take your name and your phone number, and then I'll give it to Fishing Game. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my name's John.
Last name?
I don't have a last name.
Okay. Phone number for you, John?
Did you get it on the what do you call it?
I didn't drop it.
Oh, okay. I'll just call back.
You're breaking up, Timmy. You're breaking up, Tim.
Disgusting.
Timmy, you're breaking up. All right, I'm ending it. I don't think you can hear me for some reason. You're breaking up, Timmy, if you can hear me. If not, we'll come back to it. I want to eat. Timmy, a Jew boss, co-host hour, everybody. All right, I'm back tomorrow somewhere between 12 and 5 MDT. Paul, unalienable on the way out. Blessings. these folks run in the opposite direction from me or get completely freaked out and triggered, and then try to project onto me because they know I can see. I always knew. I just had to get it on record for everybody else. You don't think I can look at these people and see them move? Come on now. There's no escaping even what we are and what we know about ourselves, what we think other people know or don't know about us. I can see the move. I'm pretty astute, pretty intuitive. I know me. I know life. You will come here regularly, get entertained by me. I will change your life in some way with this perspective.
God damn it.
And we have an asylum around back for those who can't get it together. I knew what I was going to meet and face. I knew what I was going to potentially have to give up to get back, like the scripture outlines. And I'm doing it for the right reasons, because I really do believe in this understanding and these synchronicities and these co-creative connections and gaining an understanding through experience that changes one's life and trajectory. For me, that's like all that we have here. That's all I have here. You know, the rest is extras. The art of living, it's the spiritual faith, it's the principles and values. The rest is extras. You're going to get the real here, you're going to get the truth here, you're going to get inspiration and empowerment to do the next right thing, or you ain't going to be here for long. And I like it that way. I'm tightening my shit up. No, I got people in my life who I respect, who respect me, who we have a valuable, empowering thing going on, and we're going to take it to the next level. It's all that and more. It's God. You really want to get down to it? You want to get down to the experience? Because I'm talking about an experience. I'm not talking about some guy in the sky. You can call that arrogant, you can call that prideful and all the rest, but no, I recognize my position. I'm not a man of the majority of these people at this point, based on how I'm living, what I'm doing, and what I'm not doing. I'm a man for the people. I'm a man that these slaves can look to, like Maximus in the arena, and say, you know what, Paulie Boy's onto something there. We feel in us what we see in him. We know we're one and the same. We're going to do something different about our life. That's all this is. So it's just kind of confusing to me. All the folks with all the money, the big money, you know, the big condos and houses. You know, the ones who like to plan all the trips and fly on the planes and have all the extras. Why they don't focus on the main thing. So one does not supplant, sublimate, or substitute the other. 2025 saying is money can't unlame you, money can't unslave you. Okay? And I don't think anybody can deny that. I just freed you up, man. Go live that empowering, inspiring life that you love so much. Don't let me hold you back.
You can't treat him like any of the other niggas around here, because he ain't like any of the other niggas around here. You got it?